I mean, that's not what you do. Yeah. Oh, I'm just gonna be the only
We're good. I see your sign is there, right?
I'll be around I said morning.
Oh, don't worry. I stormed in the garage.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Mr. Milo, got the surgery, recovered okay, a little chunky. Yeah. Yeah, we don't. So they all get it?
Yeah.
Okay. Sounds good. But I think it's the regular board. Oh, I
We
think.
had a great time.
Oh, no. Yeah, back here are their other items. I will take one for Tina. Is that a dream or is that a nightmare? That might be a nightmare.
Find out.
Worst thing is, I can't find it anymore. Yeah. And I can't.
Yeah.
That's where my son was. He's a baseball player. I think they're in trying. It's wet, it's real wet.
Swimming. Yeah. So.
We're discussing that, figure it out too.
All right, it's 6:30 p.m. I'd like to call to order the Village Board of Trustees meeting of Monday, April 6, 2026. This time we'll ask our treasurer to give the roll call, please.
President Hardavalo.
Present.
Trustee Bartholomew. Here. Trustee Coleman.
Here.
Trustee Wright.
Present?
Trustee Black.
Here.
Trustee Russell.
Here.
And Trustee Franzen. Here.
All right, we are all here and we do have a quorum. At this time, I invite everyone present to please stand and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we'll move down to item 5. We have one set of village board meeting minutes from March 16th, 2026. Chair would look for a motion to approve.
I'll make the motion to approve the village board meeting minutes of March 16.
Second, right?
There's a first and a second on the motion to approve the minutes of March 16th. Are there any questions or corrections to the minutes? All right, hearing none, all in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. That motion carries. All right, now we'll be on item 6. This is gonna be the first opportunity this evening to share public comment. So if you have a public comment or a question you'd like to have answered at a later meeting, please step up to the lectern, give your full name and your address, and then share your comment. We ask that you try to keep it to under 2 minutes, but we have some leeway if you run over a little bit, so.
Well,
You
since
start.
nobody else signed in and I just did, I'll go. My name's Jack Jones, 34 Elm Street, Williams Bay. Fortunately, you guys are getting to know me. At the last committee meeting last week, where parking and traffic congestion were discussed on Wellworth and Elm due to the relocation of building, housing, greengrocer and others. There was a great resident turnout on Wellworth. Many residents and business owners were against most, if not all, the current suggestions on how to address the traffic and parking issues. It was suggested by the committee chairman that, again, Williams Bay wait until a study can be done. A few points I'd like to bring up. I now get partially why there has been paralysis by analysis again. However, the board could still do something for the most affected residents on Wellworth and Elm now before the summer season hits again. Many Wellworth addresses who finally showed up were under the impression that a parking restriction ban was already in effect. Since hardly anybody showed up for the last year, it leads me to believe they were encouraged to attend, which is what they should do. However, it is not the trustees' responsibility to go door to door. They have if there's a study done, shouldn't it be done when there's parking traffic issues so it's easy to see? I think forecasting or lack thereof caused this issue in the first place. Last but not least, there is an election tomorrow. I've been to many full meetings and committee meetings. The trustees up for re-election have been fully committed to working on our behalf. Even trustees who are not on certain committees still show up anyway. This is a stark contrast to a former village trustee who is running, who I have not seen at any village meeting since the last election. I won't name him, but I think his initials are JD. Heck, I even feel the village trustee who defeated me in the last election is doing a great job. Thank you. That's it.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. Are there any other public comments at this time? There will be one more opportunity this evening to share public comments if you think of anything or any other questions. All right, not seeing any, we will move to the next item on the agenda, which is going to be the presentation of accounts and petitions. Our chair of the Finance and Personnel Committee, Trustee Wright will be handling this.
Thank you, President Jaramillo. I present first for board approval the payroll report period ending 3/20/2026, the amount of $57,167.97.
Human second.
We have a first and a second on a motion to accept the payroll ending March 20th, 2026. Any questions or comments on the motion?
Question for the chief.
Please.
And overtime, is that for shadowing?
Is that for what?
When you shadow, when you have a new police officer?
Oh, for field training? Part of it is for that, I believe.
So how long, like, so I don't ask the question of how long is that gonna go on? That's my question. Not the 22, how long?
It can go up to 12 weeks, I'll say that. It could be expedited if, depending, because he already knows the jurisdiction, we may expedite that.
Okay, and
Any other questions or comments on the motion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. Motion carries.
Secondly, I present for board approval the report of accounts payable prepaid dated 3/20/2026, amount of $13,604.73.
Greenwood second.
We have a first and a second on the motion to accept the accounts payable prepaids dated March 20th, 2026. Any questions or comments on this motion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. That motion carries.
And next, I present for board approval the report of accounts payable prepaid dated 3/25/2026, the amount of $3,294.25.
Greenwood second.
We have a first and a second on the motion to accept the accounts payable prepaids dated March 25th, 2026. Any questions or comments on the motion? All in favor, please say aye. Any opposed, say no. Motion carries.
And finally, I present for board approval the report of accounts payable unpaid dated 4/2/2026, amount of $80,834.15.
Greenwood second.
And we have a first and a second on the motion to accept the accounts payable unpaid dated April 2nd, 2026. Any questions or comments on this motion? All in favor, please say aye. Any opposed, say no. And that motion carries.
That's it, President Aramio. Thank you.
All right, thank you, trustee Wright, for that. We'll move on to item 8, that's the president's remarks. I do have one on the agenda here, and I have a couple comments in addition to that. First is just that, as Mr. Jones alluded to, the election is tomorrow, April 7th. Voting will be held at Lions Fieldhouse, that's 270 Elkhorn Road, just down the hill. Polls will be open at 7 a.m. and they close at 8 p.m. Please vote. And then, I don't have it on here, but I just wanted to say a thank you to the Women's Civic League for putting on the voters forum on March 24th here. It was a great asset to the community and we really appreciate it. Thank you for all the candidates that showed up too. And then finally, I guess I got another one. There will be a special organizational meeting of the village board on Tuesday, April 21st at 6:30 p.m. Here at this location. The only business will be the appointment of standing committees and appointments to other committees. It's an unusual meeting. We only do it once a year after the election, and it's on a Tuesday night. So just getting the word out there that that's going to be occurring. And finally, administration staff is going to be moving to the new location of the administration building, the old First National Bank and Trust building at 121 North Walworth Avenue. The move is set for Thursday, April 16th and Friday, April 17th. And because of that, administration offices will be closed on those days while they're moving and transitioning. And then it'll be open up business on the Monday, April 20th is the goal there. All right, with that, we'll move on to item 9, the ordinances and resolutions section. This is going to be presented by our Building, Zoning, and Ordinance Chair, Trustee Franzen. Thank
you, President Aramio. So the first item is discussion of possible action on ordinance 2026-04, creating section 12-14 of the Code of Ordinances concerning the Tourism Commission and establishing a Village of Williams Bay Tourism Commission. So this is motion to approve the second reading of the ordinance. So I move to approve the second reading.
All right, we have a first and a second on the motion to approve the second reading of ordinance 2026-04. Any questions or comments on the motion?
I just want to say one thing. I know I've been repeating myself, but I just want to be clear that my objection to the Tourism Commission isn't that we're going to have a Tourism Commission. I understand the oversight and I'm all for that. I just want more oversight in terms of how the commission is formed. So that's what I'm asking for, why I continue to vote no on this. I think that, again, because tourism really isn't part of our comprehensive plan, to more closely align the Tourism Commission with our comprehensive plan, it makes sense to use the elements of the plan to help us populate the commission. So I would ask for somebody from our business association or our business community to be a member. I would ask that someone from Kishwaukee to be a member from the board or from the volunteer ranks, and then someone also from our Parks and Lakefront or from our rec department, because those are the elements that are included in the comprehensive plan when it's talking about economic development for our village. And so I just want to be super clear that my vote against it isn't a vote against oversight, it's a vote for more oversight. So thanks.
Thank you. Are there any other questions or comments on the motion? Yes.
Yes, I would also like to add that I have spoken out against this particular ordinance several times. My concerns are in the packet with an email specifically stating each of them. It's also that it's not that I oppose the Tourism Commission and the need for oversight, it's that this is our chance to get it right. It's always easier to loosen the reins later down the road, but it's harder to tighten them. So I would like to see this ordinance tighter and to provide more structure for the Tourism Commission than what is in there right now. More strategy from the board, more specifics in terms of how we want that commission to function and what type of oversight we're doing. So I'll be voting no, not because I don't think it's a good move, it's that I feel like we haven't taken the time to go through and tighten that up as well as we could.
Thank you. Anyone else? All right, can we do a roll call vote then, on the motion to approve the second reading?
President Harriman?
Aye.
Trustee Bartholomew? No. Trustee Ullman?
Aye.
Trustee Wright?
Aye.
Trustee Black?
Aye.
Trustee Russell?
Aye.
Trustee Francis?
No,
All right, and that motion does carry 5-2. Is there a motion to adopt the
I'll
ordinance?
make the motion to adopt ordinance 2604.
Second, right?
There's a first and a second on the motion to adopt ordinance 2026-04. Any questions or comments, further questions or comments on the motion? Can we get one more roll call, please?
President Harriman?
Aye.
Trustee Bartholomew? No. Trustee Ullman?
Aye.
Trustee Wright?
Aye.
Trustee Black?
Aye.
Trustee Russell?
Aye.
And Trustee Francis?
no.
All right, that motion also carries and the ordinance is adopted.
The second item on our agenda is R26-26, a resolution authorizing a quote for annual fireworks show 2026 Fun and Brat Fest. So the village approves the annual fireworks proposal each year. 2 years ago, in '23, the village considered proposals from 3 vendors and chose to remain with J&M Fireworks that had put on the previous 5 to 6 shows. Last year, J&M Fireworks submitted a quote for $25,000, noting that there is not an increase in pricing this year, but stressed the need for approval before May 1. The village board approved that proposal. So J&M Fireworks has submitted 2 proposals for this year. One maintains the prior year's $25,000 expense, but with reduced show due to price increases. And proposal 2 maintains the same show as prior years, but at the increased cost of $28,730. So a $3,750 increase from last year to this year. Donation revenues over the years have consistently exceeded the $25,000 approved expenditure amount in the fireworks fund, with a surplus of $13,890 at the year end 2025. If donations are limited or fail to meet the approved expenditure amount in '26, the fireworks fund will continue to have a significant fund balance, likely in excess of $10,000. So the financial impact is $25,000 or $28,730. There are no committee recommendations. This is going directly for the board. So I move to approve our 26-26 resolution authorizing a quote from J&M Fireworks for the annual village fireworks for 2026 in the amount of $28,730 during Corn and Brat Fest.
I'll second, but I just noticed on here, I know you said 7:30, but on the paper it says 7:50. I don't know if that's a big deal.
Yeah, it is
It's 7:50.
7:50, yeah.
You say, answer, there's a first and a second on the motion to approve resolution. And again, I'm sorry, is it R2826 or R26? Is it R2826? That's what I have.
28-26,
Okay.
yes, sorry.
All right, any questions or comments on this?
I have a couple of comments on the resolution, and you're gonna have to count the whereases with going down. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, the fourth whereas, the word year is repeated in the text, in the body of the text. It says year, so that needs to be fixed. fourth whereas. You see it?
Yes.
And then keep going. So for 5, down to the 6th whereas, I believe it has the date as still as the year 2025, and I think that should be changed to 2026, the August 8th, 2026 date.
All right. Without objection, we accept the corrections as stated by trustee Bartholomew. All right. So the motion now is to approve resolution R 2826 as corrected. Any other comments? All in favor of the motion, please say aye. Any opposed, say no. All right, that motion is approved. I think that's all we have for ordinances and resolutions. Thank you, trustee Franzen. We'll move to item 10. This is going to be our final opportunity for public comments of this evening. So if you have one, I see some people rushing up already. Please come up to the lectern, give your full name and your address, and then share your comment, please.
Hi, my name is Laura Hobbs. I reside at 410 Smythe Drive in Williams Bay. And I am an owner at Chippewa Resort, which is located at 55 North Walworth Avenue. And I am here in support of the resolution to pass the installation of replacement piers for Pier 275, 276, and 277. Our journey started about a year ago when my husband and I were walking along the Lakeshore Path, and we paused because a new pier was being installed. It was a beautiful pier, free of peeling paint, rotting wood, and splinters. And we have 3 piers that we are responsible for. And we had just come off of a very difficult spring season where my husband had been in the water with it actually snowing with a wetsuit on as we are trying to put in our piers ourselves. And this is because the pier company has been inconsistent about when they can get our piers installed. And we have an opening date of May 1st. So putting our piers in by the middle of June just hasn't worked for us. And I had said to my husband, boy, I don't know how this is going to continue with us being, having to put in our own piers. And we saw these beautiful piers being put in, Lifetime Piers by Somerset Marine Construction Company. And we thought, we've got to get some information. Let's get a quote. Let's check it out. Fast forward, we have done all of our due diligence. We have plans for a beautiful replacement, 3 replacement piers. And we feel very strongly that these replacement piers actually enhance our lake. They will be beautiful. They do not extend out further. The Chippewa Pier will go to the same distance. That is the proposal. We will improve the setbacks from the neighbors on the north and on the south. We will lessen our overall footprint of moorage because we're going to be eliminating most of our buoy field, which is good for the lake bed and the restoration of the ecosystem. So all of the important players, ourselves, the pier company, our neighbors from the condos to the north, our neighbors Dan McGovern to the south, and the DNR, who has also approved our piers, we feel like all of the stakeholders that it's just a benefit all around, benefit for us, benefit for our neighbors, benefit for the lake. And I just don't want us as a village to be making the mistake of adhering very specifically and tightly to rules that miss the point of our lakes, which is good navigability around and good health for our lakes. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Mrs. Hobbs.
Hi, Mike Hobbs, 410 Smythe Drive, related. I just have a short 1-page item to read. And dear members of the village board, I would like to sincerely thank the village board for your willingness to invest time and thoughtful consideration in reviewing our request to install replacement piers. Your attention to this matter is greatly appreciated. I would also like to extend my gratitude to our neighbors at Bayshore to our north, our tenants, and Dan McGovern to our south for their support as we work to move this project forward. Their collaboration and shared vision have been invaluable throughout this process. They have submitted letters as well, which are already in the agenda. I agree with the sentiments expressed in other letters submitted, particularly the importance of improving navigation between neighboring properties as well as to the east of the piers, since most of the existing buoy field will be removed and the overall footprint of the piers and buoy field will actually be decreased. Additionally, I support efforts aimed at protecting the lake bed and creating a more harmonious and aesthetically pleasing arrangement of piers. With respect to pier length, we believe our request is both reasonable and consistent with prior exceptions granted, including those made for the village piers themselves. In 1971, Williams Bay adopted a uniform lake law ordinance governing property line setback and pier length. The village itself has established precedent in making reasonable exceptions to this ordinance, as the village of Williams Bay West Slip Pier extends approximately 204 feet beyond the shore, and the East Slip Pier approximately 213 feet beyond shore. Both piers were installed significantly after the village instituted the 1971 ordinance. Regarding the 12.5-foot setback, our proposal to move Pier 275 slightly to the south and Pier 277 slightly to the north is intended to improve spacing and overall usability between our piers and those of our neighbors, enhancing both function and safety. An important point to note is that the setback variance impacts only the properties that we own. The setback to our neighbors to the north and south will improve to greater than or equal to 12.5 feet requirement. The current grandfathered setback to our north is between 5 and 6 feet, so this will be extending to 12.5 feet. When I recently discussed the changes with Mark Wharton, who is one of the the Chicago Association people, he said he was, quote, ecstatic about the proposed changes. Wisconsin DNR has approved this project. We request that you grant us permission to proceed with our proposal to install replacement piers. Thank you again for your time, consideration, and service to the community.
Thank you, Mr. House.
Haley Henry, 345 West Geneva Street. I appreciate the time that most of you took on Friday and Saturday to speak to me regarding the European exit plan. Mr. Wright, I know you had trouble hearing my voicemail, so you weren't able to return my call. And then this Bartholomew, I believe we were able to connect either. So I'm just curious where the two of you stand on the European exit strategy or what they're going to do next. If that's something you're comfortable answering now, that's fine. If that's something that I need to email you about, good. But I think everybody else is pretty good. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Sender. Any other public comments at this time? This is going to be the last opportunity tonight for public comments. We do have them at all of our regularly scheduled village board meetings, so if you think of something, we'll be back here on April 20th, and you can share a comment then. All right, with that, we move on to the next item, which is going to be item 11, other items for discussion. First up is a discussion and possible action on application from 132 Conference Point for the slip pier expansion from 2 pier slips to 3 pier slips. Tax key WA425100001. The village zoning administrator has recommended approval based upon the determination that the new pier does comply with the requirements of the village code, including section 281-1, sub H, sub 3, sub E, sub 1, that provides that no pier shall be built, located, constructed, or maintained within 12.5 feet of riparian proprietor's property line. I know our zoning administrator is here. Did you have anything to add to that, Allison? I think I basically read the report there. But...
Yeah, this one's fairly straightforward. This is a replacement project for a 3-slip pier at this location. They are adhering to the pier headline of 100 feet. The pier will not exceed 100 feet, and the pier will be meeting the setbacks on either side.
Great. I guess before we continue discussion on this, then Chair would look for a motion. I can make one.
Excuse me, I move that we approve the application for a slip pier expansion in property WA 425100001.
So we have a first and a second on the motion to approve the application from 132 Conference Point for the slip pier expansion. Any questions or comments on the motion?
I have a
Not on the motion, but I want to make a comment about this.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead.
And this is for, this is Michael House.
No, this is
No.
for-
Well, this is this one, they'll be the next item on the agenda.
Those still Tuesday.
I don't believe they're still peers on conference call, right?
Is there anyone here, from 132 Conference Point? In case they want to just give you an opportunity to speak if you are here? Okay. So we have a first and a second on the motion to approve. No more comments or questions? All in favor of the motion, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say no. That motion carries. Second item, B, is discussion and possible action on the application from Chippewa Enterprises LLC for the installation of 3 new piers at tax key WOP 00091 and WOP 00092, replacing the existing 3 wooden piers with steel piers, increasing the number of boat slips from 30 to 42 slips, an increase of 12, and reducing the number of mooring buoys from 14 to 2, reducing it by 12. Village zoning administrator has recommended denial based upon determination that 2 of the 3 new piers do not comply with the setback requirements of Village Code Section 281-1H sub 3 sub E sub 1 that provides that no pier shall be built, located, constructed, or maintained within 12.5 feet of a riparian proprietor's property line. I guess once again, I'll ask our zoning administrator. I mean, I basically read all the information there. Did you have anything you wanted to add?
I will just add that the applicants are here if you have any questions for them. What they're looking to do is replace 3 of their piers. There's 3 separate parcels. Parcel 1, parcel 2, parcel 3. There's a pier on each. They're looking to replace each one. They are looking to modify the number of slips on each pier to reduce the number of moorings on the water. So you'll see that they're pulling boats off the water, but they're increasing the slips on the piers themselves. Therefore, they're changing and modifying the setbacks of the piers. The 3 piers are likely non-conforming at this time. At least 2 of the 3 are. 2 of the 3 extend past the pier head line of 100 feet already. They are seeking to expand the width further, but based upon a review from our village attorney, we cannot base the denial off of the request to extend the 2 of the 3 piers further beyond the pier head line because the DNR has in their approval stated that it is consistent with other piers in the area to extend beyond the pier head line. Therefore, my request for denial is based upon the setback of 12.5 feet on either side of the pier. The new piers will not comply with those setback requirements.
All right, I had a question, Allison, with the setbacks requirements. I mean, these are 2 separate parcels, so although they're owned by the same owner, I mean, even if they, I guess, does the fact that they are owned by the same owner affect the setbacks under the zoning code?
No, because they're separate parcels, those parcel lines still are applicable. Because at any point in time, one of those parcels of land could sell.
Okay. And then, so to rectify this, the applicant would need to get it so that it's within the 12.5 feet, to basically restart, or?
Correct.
Or to just, I mean, would they have to go back to the DNR, do you know, or?
I'm unaware of what the DNR process would look like.
Okay, yeah, that's fine.
The current pier is in compliance.
If we are looking at the map enclosed in your packet, north to south, it's very likely that the first and middle pier are not in compliance in terms of length. And the third pier, which is just a straight line extending into the water currently, that pier is likely in compliance with our current ordinance. However, the expansions that are being proposed, Pier 1 at the north and Pier 3 to the south would not be in compliance with our ordinance because they would not be meeting the 12.5-foot setback requirement. On one of the piers, they'd be at 11 feet, and on the southernmost pier, they'd be at 10.8 feet.
Do you want a motion so we can?
Yeah, I guess we better I was trying to ask her all the questions before we got there, but please, if you'd like to make a motion. Trustee Russell?
I'll make a motion denying the application from Chippewa Enterprises LLC for the installation of 3 new piers. I don't think this number is correct. Can't see there. That the 3 separate parcels owned by Chippewa Resort.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay. So now we have a first and a second on the motion to deny the application. We can continue with the discussion, probably a little bit more formally.
Okay, I have a question.
Yes, please, Trustee
So
Loomis.
Allison, it says here the pier width was reduced from 8 feet to 5 feet. Am I right on those piers?
Correct, I believe that's correct.
Would it help, or did you recommend, or did you talk to them? If, instead of reducing it to 5 feet, could they be 4 feet, 4.5 feet? And that would free up, like you saw, we're not talking a lot of width here.
Yeah, I did not bring that up to the applicant. I'm not sure if the product they install comes at that width, but they are here, and so if you allow, I would recommend they answer that question.
Yeah, Chair would recognize either the applicants, or I know we have some of the gentlemen from the company itself, Somerset.
Yeah, if I may make one additional comment.
Yeah, please, Mr. Hobbs, could you just so that we're recording, so if you could use the microphone.
So just in regard to the 12.5-foot setback,
Yes.
current setback, which we would continue with, is between 5 and 6 feet and is grandfathered in. That setback would go to 12.5 feet from that north property and would go to 10.5 feet at the south side, which is a property we own in the middle. The property on the south, Pier 277, is currently within the setback and will be within that 12.5-foot setback from the next most property to the south. That next most property to the south, their pier extends over the property line onto that parcel. So their current pier is not at the property line, not 5 feet from the property line, not 12.5 feet from the property line, but over the property line. So the reason that we have moved that south pier slightly to the north, compromising 1 foot, so it's 3 feet out of 100 feet. So that middle parcel is 100 feet in width. So we're talking about a 3% encroachment on that middle property. But the reason we have moved it a little bit to the north, the southmost pier, is that the next pier is actually over the property line. And that 2 feet will make a difference in the navigability, both with our neighbor Danny to the south and with our people on our pier. So that's the reason that we chose to move those setbacks in ever so slightly to accommodate it, the problems that exist currently. And our current pier that is on the northmost property, which is 5 or 6 feet setback, is 208 feet. So the length, it's either going to stay the same at 208 feet and be 5 feet from that property line, or it's going to move south and be 12.5 feet from that property line and stay the same length. So,
Mr. House,
Yeah, please.
Mr. House, maybe for Somerset too. You use the term replacement piers, but these aren't really replacing existing piers. These are new piers, correct, in your permitting with the DNR?
Yes, and the DNR approved
Okay.
it.
So you can't follow the grandfather rules?
Right.
Okay. Right. The other question I have for you, you're saying that you would move the northernmost lot, that here, to the 12.5 foot. Is that in your permitting
it is. Yep.
currently?
It is. Yep.
Allison, did you see that?
What was that? I apologize.
Did you see that the northernmost lot at Pier number 1 is that 12.5 feet from the north riparian line?
It is. It's being moved to 12.5 feet
Okay.
on that side, but it's not meeting the setback on the other side.
On the other side,
Correct.
which we currently own that.
That's 100 feet, that's 100 feet.
Okay.
But there's still a parcel line.
I understand.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, trustee Franzen, please.
Allison, what would they need to change in their application to get this approved without any variance?
The application would need to be changed to show that each pier, on every single side meets 12.5 foot setback.
Correct. So is it just that center pier that we're talking about, or is it?
The center
two
pier,
South piers.
the center pier complies with the setback requirement.
Okay.
It's the, outer two piers that do not comply.
Thank you.
May I make one more comment? Sorry.
Let's stay up there for a second.
Yeah, I might stay up until we vote.
So if we went, which we could certainly let South Pier go to the 12.5 foot setback without problem for the pier itself. But again, that moves it 2 feet closer to the pier that is already over the lot line to the south, which does, cause some issues. And we could,
More than anything.
yeah. And potentially, I think the northern pier could be altered, and please correct me if I'm wrong, but could be altered so that it was within 12.5 feet. However, there is some advantage from a standpoint of the way the materials come and the way they build it to leave it as is. So I think it's just a structural issue, but I'll let them comment on that here, but I'm happy to stand up here.
Trustee Bartholomew, I think you.
I was just going to ask, since the topic of the steel piers is in the COWS agenda as well, and I think in the Parks and Lakefront, I was going to suggest that we table this until we have a chance to talk about that larger issue. Because it seems as if there's some recommendations from the environmental organization for the lake that they're not in favor of this kind of pier construction. So I was going to suggest that we table this whole thing until after we had a chance to discuss that larger issue. So.
I would say lacking a motion table, would you be interested in rescinding your motion, trustee Russell, or if not, then we can still vote.
Asking about the issue of the riparian rights, you didn't table that for the steel pier. Still got the issue of the riparian, so if we get the issue of the steel pier addressed, we're still back here discussing riparian.
It's really about
The
setbacks.
steel piers has nothing to do, but the material is not relevant to this.
This decision.
Okay.
So, but I do want to have, I do have a comment from Mr. Hobbs. On that, in that respect, if you think I can.
Well, if we're not gonna table it, then that's fine,
Sounds
we'll
like-
continue to push forward on that.
So, okay, Steve. if I can-
Trustee Humans, go ahead.
Mr. Hobbs, can you come over here for a second? So I didn't realize the three of you are with, is it Somerset? These are the steel piers from the Women's Leadership Center.
Correct.
Here are pictures of other steel piers.
Correct.
They all failed, they all have to be replaced. So I'm on the GLA board, and Holly Baseman is gonna talk more about steel piers. We have concerns on that, because first of all, they're going 9 feet into the lake bed. And second of all, you should be concerned about this, because this might not be the right lake for steel pier. So.
We walk by that pier regularly and watch the process happen.
So they're a lifetime guarantee, but after I wonder if that, how long, they can be replacing them. This is not the open lake, I'm just wanna caution you on that.
One of our main concerns.
Okay. That's enough.
All right, we have a first and a second on the motion for us, which is to deny the application on the basis of it not meeting the Village Code Section 281-1H, sub 3, sub E, sub 1. Are there any other further questions or comments regarding that scope of the motion, or I guess anything else. Trustee Franzen?
I would just like to ask the Somerset team, what is involved in reconfiguring this in order to make it fit the ordinances that we have? Is it possible without completely redesigning?
So we can redesign the pier layout to fall within the 12.5-foot offsets. The main reason we did, go against the 12.5-foot offset was to appease the neighbors. That's the main reason we did it. They have plenty of room on the inside of there between the center pier and their two exterior piers, for boats to get in and out. We just wanted to appease the neighbors, and, the neighbor pier to the Pier 278, like Mike was saying, the neighbor would not be able to use that side of their pier if we abided by the 12.5-foot offset rule there. So, that was the main reason for it.
Any further questions? Okay. Once again, the motion for us is to deny the application. All in favor of the motion, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say no. All right, that motion carries. I'm sorry we weren't able to approve the motion today. We can't break our own zoning code, so wish you luck changing it.
You can
To make it in
adjust it
compliance.
and come back next month.
So we'll move on to item C. The Village Board receipt of an appeal to the Village of Williams Bay Code of Ordinance, Chapter 46, Finance and Taxation, Section 46-15, Payment of Delinquent Financial Obligations regarding a boat slip lease. Well, by Village Code, Chapter 46, Finance and Taxation, essentially if you're not up to date on your property taxes or utility bills to the village, then the village would have reason to not renew a boat slip lease and let the slip open up and go to another applicant. We did have one instance of this from one of our boat slip leases. The applicant was given till April 1st to come up to proper payment. At this time, I guess I'm asking our treasurer, did we get the payment in? We do not have the full payment. All right, so then by the ordinance, the applicant does have the right to appeal the decision. And I understand that the applicant is here today. So if you'd like to come up, the chair will recognize you. If you'd like to speak briefly on your own appeal. And you might have to answer some questions from some of our board members, all right? So
yes.
And introduce yourself too, please.
Tom Kazmarek, owner of the Frosty Moose. Sorry that this even came across your desk. I'm on one hand embarrassed, and the other hand, I'm heartbroken. I was completely unaware that the situation was an issue until Tina had brought it to my attention when I came to pay for my boat slip. And a quick synopsis. If you know our family, we've been here since 1980. My wife and I have been together since we were 14. Our families are very close. I've got 4 parents that we're blessed to have, but their health has been deteriorated over the last 2 years a lot, and their abilities. We're a true family business. We all have situations and partake in different areas of the business. And some of the bills that are paid by them. They failed. It's heart-wrenching to see your parents deteriorate the way they are. They've all been diagnosed with cancer. 3 weeks ago, the last one was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. So it's what my wife and I are dealing with. It sucks, to be honest with you, to watch people get old, but it's happened. Ultimately, it's my responsibility. I'm taking care of it. I was going to pay the bills, but I can't until the bills are paid. I was 1,200 miles away. I took care of some of them. I've got a few more to figure out and make finalization and payment on those. The water bill was paid. I paid that. As for the other bills, one was paid on Friday, another one was paid today. And as soon as I get the payment structure of what's owed and where, I'll be taking care of that. So hopefully, I get that taken care of ASAP. It's my responsibility and that take care of it, but that's how it came to be. So my apologies for that, but hopefully you can have consideration of approving the slip that I can wait 18 years for. That's where I'm at. So
Do any of the board members have any questions for Mr.
Yeah.
Casimir?
Can you make that payment by next Monday, the 13th?
I paid the water bill. I have to find out what is owed now that I've paid. I'm hoping by this Friday we'll be all finalized, Friday or Monday. If I get a couple of weeks, that would be great.
Well, what I was looking for is a date for you to be telling us if I'll pay it by that date, and maybe the sooner the better.
The sooner
We can't have like, I'll pay it.
No, I understand.
Any day.
Completely understand. I drove in last night. I'm 1,200 miles away. I was supposed to go out west 2 more weeks working. I said, this was lambasted on me. I just found this out. If it wasn't for Tina telling me, I wouldn't even know about this problem. So I took care of as much as I could as I found out. I probably need at least a couple weeks to figure it out. And if I need a couple weeks to take care of it, that should be sufficient.
Can you have it paid by the 20th?
The 20th, today's the 20th? What day is the 20th? Is there?
2 weeks ago.
We'll leave it to 20th.
The village board will be meeting again on Monday, the 20th. I think is why
If that's
trustee
good.
Umens is bringing it up. So given your situation and how, proud you are in the community and that you are appealing this, I could see there being pushing this off one meeting until the 20th if you're able to get up to.
We'll leave it at the 20th. We'll be taking care of it.
But I mean, it's still going to require motion by the board. That's why I'm explaining why trustee
Sure.
Umens is.
No,
bringing it up.
if that makes it easier for the board, like I said, I apologize for this even coming about. So if 20th makes it easier for you, then maybe that's fine by me.
Are there any other questions or comments, suggestions? Did you want to make some kind of motion, then, trustee Umens?
Well, we can either, say,
I'd make a motion,
You will, or you would, or you are?
I will, I'll make a motion to extend the deadline date for payment of all delinquent financial obligations to April 20th, 2026 for Mr. Kazimier's boat slip lease. And advise the city clerk to hold that slip until the 20th. I'll second that.
Thanks.
Well, we still got to vote.
Okay, no, thanks for that.
We have a first and a second on the motion to extend the payment deadline date to April 20th, 2026, and instruct the village clerk to hold the boat slip until that time. Do we want to have a time on that is my question.
I'll say, okay, at 5 p.m. on the 20th.
yeah, Monday.
All right, without objection, do you guys mind adding the 5 p.m. to that time, Dee?
No.
Are there any questions or comments on the amended motion?
I just wanted to say that I take care of a friend who has Alzheimer's, and so trying to dive into finances for other people is very challenging.
Yeah.
And so thank you for coming and talking to us about that, and I wish you all the best with that.
Thanks. It's not that's the easiest thing to go through.
Yeah,
That's not.
no, it's not.
Yeah, I would just say it's tough to ask for help, and we're sorry that it's happening in your situation. We hope it all works out. So with that, I'll call the vote. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say no. And that motion carries.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
Tom. All right. Okay, now we're going to enter into the reading section of this evening. We have a series of proclamations that the first one is the Arbor Day 2026 proclamation. So, this is library. Arbor Day. Whereas in 1872, J. Sterling Morton proposed to the Nebraska Board of Agriculture that a special day be set aside for the planting of trees And whereas this holiday called Arbor Day was first observed with the planting of more than 1 million trees in Nebraska. And whereas 2026 is the 154th anniversary of the holiday and Arbor Day is now observed throughout the nation and the world. And whereas trees can reduce the erosion of our precious topsoil by wind and water, cut heating and cooling costs, moderate the temperature, clean the air, produce life-giving oxygen, and provide habitat for wildlife. And whereas trees are a renewable resource giving us paper, wood for our homes, fuel for our fires, and beautify our communities. And whereas trees, wherever they are planted, are a source of joy and spiritual renewal. Now, therefore, I, Adam Jaramillo, President of the Village of Williams Bay, do hereby proclaim the 24th day of August 2026 as the 154th anniversary celebration of Arbor Day in the Village of Williams Bay, and urge all citizens to celebrate Arbor Day and to support efforts to protect our trees and woodlands. And further, I urge all citizens to plant trees to gladden the heart and promote the well-being of this and future generations. Dated the 6th day of April 2026. I don't think there's any motion needed, it's just a proclamation. I will add that Arbor Day was basically created by a former Wisconsin Senator, Governor Gaylord Nelson, I'm getting his name right. So it's a sort of a Wisconsin holiday, so that's why we take it seriously here. Next up is item E, the Municipal Treasurers Appreciation Week Proclamation of 2026. Whereas the office of the municipal treasurer is a time-honored and vital part of local government that impacts the day-to-day life of citizens throughout the state, and whereas the municipal treasurers provide the necessary financial information to governing bodies and agencies at the local, county, and state levels, and whereas the municipal treasurers administer the procedures and keep the financial records that allow governing bodies to carry out their public function efficiently and confidently, and whereas all municipal treasurers are the official custodians responsible for proper management and investment of public funds, and whereas the 1,853 municipal treasurers and the 72 county treasurers work together to collect all property taxes for their own municipalities and counties, as well as their local schools, technical colleges, and the state. And whereas municipal treasurers continually strive to improve the administration of the responsibilities of the office of the municipal treasurer through participation in education programs, seminars, workshops, and conferences across Wisconsin. And now, therefore, I, Adam Jaramillo, Village President of the Village of Williams Bay, do hereby recognize the week of April 19th through April 25th, 2026 as Municipal Treasurers Week, and further extend appreciation to our Municipal Treasurer, Jennifer Thiel, and to all municipal treasurers for the vital services they perform and their exemplary dedication to the communities they represent. And we have our I'm going to consider sometimes they even fill in as our village clerks. So thank you, Jennifer. Okay, and we do have one more proclamation this evening. This is the National Library Week Proclamation of 2026. Whereas libraries provide the opportunity for everyone to pursue their passions and engage in lifelong learning, allowing them to live their best life, and whereas libraries have long served as trusted institutions for all members of the community, regardless of race, ethnicity, creed, ability, sexual orientation, gender identity, or socioeconomic status, and whereas libraries strive to develop and maintain programs and collections that are as diverse as the populations they serve and ensure equity of access for all, and whereas libraries adapt to the ever-changing needs of their communities, continually expanding their collections, services, and partnerships, whereas libraries play a critical role in the economic vitality of communities by providing internet and technology access, literacy skills, and support for job seekers, small businesses, and entrepreneurs, and whereas libraries are accessible and inclusive places that promote a sense of local connection, advancing understanding, civic engagement, and shared community goals, and whereas libraries are cornerstones of democracy, promoting the free exchange of information and ideas for all, and whereas libraries, librarians, and library workers are joining library supporters and advocates across the nation to celebrate National Library Week. Now, therefore, I, Adam Jaramillo, Village President of the Village of Williams Bay, hereby proclaim April 19th to 25th, 2026 as Library Week in the Village of Williams Bay and encourage all residents to visit their library to explore the wealth of resources available. given under my hand and seal the Village of Williams Bay, the 6th day of April, 2026. And we do have our head librarian of Bear Memorial Library here, Joy Shutt. Thank you so much for It wasn't in the proclamation, but on the really hot days, they have air conditioning at the library. So it's a good place to go hang out and cool down.
You got free Wi-Fi.
Free Wi-Fi, yeah. All right, that's the end of the reading section. Chair will look for a motion to adjourn.
So moved, right?
Second. Franzen.
Second, Franzen. There's a first and second on the motion to adjourn. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say no. All right, so we adjourn that section of the meeting. Now I'd like to call to order the joint meeting of the Village Board Committee of the Whole and Committees of Monday, April 6, 2026. I think we're just going to skip the roll call. We're all still here, and it's kind of silly that we do it every time. So I'll acknowledge that we're all here. We have one set of meeting minutes from March 2nd, 2026. Chair would look for a motion to approve.
I'll make that motion to approve the joint Village Board Committee of the Whole and Committee meeting minutes of March 2nd, 2026.
Is there a second?
Second, Franzen.
There's a first and a second on the motion to approve the meeting minutes of March 2nd, 2026. Are there any questions or comments or corrections to these minutes?
I just want to say, can I have one comment?
Yeah, please.
If Dave can just pass on to Tina, this is for a really long meeting, minutes, and it's a good job.
Okay. Any else? All in favor of the motion, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say no. All right, that motion carries. Now at this time, we're going to go committee by committee. Just in case you're not familiar, there might be some votes. You might not see everyone voting. That's because only the members of the committee that is called to order at that time will be actively involved in voting. So first up is going to be our ad hoc tree committee report from Trustee Russell.
Trustee.
Umans, sorry. I got a little dyslexic. Trustee Umans.
Yeah, well, you'll come up here. So both Steve and I are on this committee. So the first item is discussion and possible action on the planting of 6 additional trees at Triangle Park. So I attached a spreadsheet with the monies on it. So we want to do 2 more Eastern white pines, 2 Donald Wyman crab apples, and 2 hawthorn trees. And so we're not going to vote on this or any motions, but we need to kind of get this out of the way here. So technically, the way the agenda should work is the ad hoc tree committee cannot make any motions. I can make a recommendation to the Parks and Lakefront committee and then to finance. And then those committees can actually make a recommendation to the village board. Unfortunately, those parts are left off from the agenda, this agenda, for tonight's agenda. So if it's okay with Steve, who is the chair for Parks and Lakefront and Lowell, if I can make a recommendation now for this to go be approved by the village board next 2 weeks from now on the 20th directly, or if not, then you guys need to be on the agenda on the 20th. Fine, so Steve, you okay with that?
Yeah.
So then I'll make a recommendation for village board approval for the planting of 6 additional trees at Triangle Park.
So it's a question, Trustee Umans, that would leave the fund with an available balance of just short of $400. Is that how I read it?
Actually, I got some cash that is not reflected in there. I just got that.
Okay.
So there's actually a little bit more.
Okay.
But
It's always positive.
Yeah. Okay, then discussion, next item, B, discussion and possible action on planting of 15 trees at the dog park. And so there, that's a different approach here, a little bit. So I gave a copy of the flyer, or the, not the banner. What we want to do, what the ad hoc tree committee wants to do is, they want to put a banner at the dog park and then limit it to 15 trees. And then people can call Village Hall and they get a tree, they get the planting, they get the metal protection, and they get a stone, engraved stone that is in there. And the price for that would be $800. And then obviously it doesn't cost us $800, so the difference of the cost us for all of this and the $800 to go from the next phase. Am I saying that right, Steve?
Yeah. You looking for input?
Yeah, we can have some input. Yeah.
Okay. I have two concerns with this approach. One is making $400 on each donation. That doesn't feel right. My wife and I planted a tree in memory of one of our relatives in what is now Carlson Park, and our only cost was the cost of the tree, which was less than $800. The other concern is this notion of an engraved brick. I believe the village ordinance prohibits bricks or stones being put with memorial trees. We were not unable to put one with the tree that we donated, and so I have a question about whether we can either, if you're going to allow engraved bricks or some kind of monument with these trees, then I certainly want to place one in Carlson Park next to the tree that we donated.
Well, this is for dogs, not for you.
I'm not sure that makes any difference, but.
Well, to me,
My concern, Rob, is that we have a Parks and Memorial Committee that kind of does the same work. So I'm not against the idea. And I definitely would agree that Trustee Wright should have the stone if we're going to be putting stones down. We need to make sure that we're collaborating, and our chair, Parks and Memorial, actually just left. I would have asked him about this now, but make sure we're collaborating with them and that we're all on the same page.
yeah, so first the $800, we had lots of discussion on that. So I know personally, we have donated we did trees in Lake Geneva, and it was several years ago, and they charged you exactly for that package, without the protection, $600. I was told.
It's free country.
I was told that those dog lovers, those trees will be gone, we limited at 15, they'll be gone in no time. People are saying, will be signing up for that right away. So the way we wanted to do is, we just wanted to get the banner out, see if we got any reaction to it. And then hopefully we will. And then you're right, we do make money on it, but on the other hand, the donations have come to a total standstill, basically. And so, as you know, last year we had we had some money so you know that. And I'm also working with the Lions Club to possibly fund this, and they are looking into that. Otherwise, this is coming to a standstill because we do not get the donations. We tried the bookmarks, we tried all that stuff, and nothing.
The village does budget for trees.
The village has a budget for rain.
Yes.
And that goes to tree injections, tree stump removals, all of that. That doesn't go necessarily for new trees.
It just seems to me that the planting of trees in the end, if we don't have donors willing to do it, is an obligation to the village, and the village either ought to fund it or we don't plant new trees.
Well, but, this is 2026 budget right now, does not have anything for that.
But we allowed the tree enhancement committee to carry over a 2025 surplus.
No, we did not say that, but it was set aside, but it was not officially voted on.
Okay.
We can table it for.
No,
if you want.
I'm not sure what you're asking the board to do. I was just sharing my
I
opinion.
like to go forward and put the banner up and then see what kind of a reaction it is for people about the tree. I think that's the way we want to do it, like Steve.
Well, I think Paul brings up some good points that we didn't think about. I think what we should maybe do, Rob, is take it to Parks and Memorial first and see what they think. And then maybe we should rethink this sidewalks and make that part of maybe the pavers under the shelter area. Not specific at the tree.
Yeah, well, the other thing that we talked about is, or you talked, kind of was talking about that for the next year, or when May starts, to make this a real committee maybe, or rethink how it is, so instead of it being an ad hoc committee. Right? Or should we just maybe table it then, this? Okay, we'll table this one. Okay, there's nothing to, no voting on. Okay, the last item here is discussion and update on Lily Estates Park. As you know, we have a huge, public park. We talked about that also. I think Connie Good, is she here? We talked about, contacting, we need a plan for the park before we plant any trees.
Yeah,
That's
we
the bottom line.
need to review what was decided at Parks and Lake at the last meeting. We need to review the 2011 outdoor recreation plan is what I think it's called now.
Right.
Yeah, we need to review that because Bailey is in that plan. After we review that, Connie, we need to check with Connie from an informational standpoint. We're looking at UW Madison for maybe some internship or and some design.
But it all is with the plan.
So that's where that stands right now.
So that was just for information only. Okay, that's it.
All right, thank you, trustee Umens. Next up will be our Building, Zoning, and Ordinance Committee. That's chaired by trustee Franzen.
Thank you, President Mayor. Call to order the Building, Zoning, and Ordinance Committee, trustees Franzen, Watt, and Russell in attendance. We have one item on the agenda. This is informational only. It's a project status update that includes in the packet the completed revisions to ordinances and the plan for this next year's focus. So just want to say over the past year, the BZO committee has made meaningful progress in strengthening and modernizing some of the code framework. Several key ordinances and code sections have been reviewed and updated through the approval process with focus on improving clarity, aligning with current needs, and addressing emerging issues such as short-term rentals, zoning definitions, and procedural consistency. We're looking to be proactive and structured approach to code maintenance. So working with the zoning and village administrators, a clear set of priorities have been developed to guide work in the coming year. So this is reviewing systematically the existing ordinances, addressing areas where regulations may be outdated or unclear, and ensuring alignment between zoning, development, and community character. Specifically learning which ordinances our village clerk and our code enforcement officer and zoning administrator gets the most requests on, and making those priorities in addition to things that come up from the community. So it helps us be more intentional rather than reactive. A key theme in this work has been community involvement, and I will say that while engaging residents and stakeholders may not always be the fastest path to resolution, I think it consistently leads to better and more durable outcomes. By incorporating the community input, we're working to ensure that the updates reflect both best practices and the values of the village. I do want to say that the chairs of BZO and Streets and Highways have separately collaborated with local downtown business leaders to address parking challenges down there. Rather than imposing immediate top-down solutions, we've encouraged business owners to take an active role in identifying and testing potential approaches while the village conducts a more comprehensive long-term assessment of parking capacity and needs. And at the most recent board meeting, one of those business leaders shared the progress being made, which is, to me, encouraging sign of shared ownership and partnership. So trying to see where can we get the community to step up and address issues that are impacting others in the community without trying to impose additional ordinances that we have a hard time enforcing, quite honestly. Overall, the past year, I think it reflects strong momentum, moving important code updates forward, and allows us to foster more collaborative problem solving with the community and business stakeholders. So some of the, if you have the packet, you'll see, for those in the audience, everything highlighted in green is on the list of priorities for this next year. Things like food trucks, signs, fencing standards, delivery trucks in the downtown area, business licenses and alarm permits, non-conforming structures, and parking restrictions. As I dove a little bit deeper into the parking situation, there are multiple ordinances out there that have parking buried in them. And so in speaking with Allison, our zoning administrator and code enforcement officer, what I suggested was that we pull those out and create a parking ordinance that identifies all of those so that we have greater consistency, that we're able to update that more frequently, and then have all of those other ordinances refer to the parking ordinance versus having all of that buried and having it very difficult to try and figure out which parking applies to which particular situation. So that is a top priority going forward as well. So any questions or discussion on that update? Okay, then I move to adjourn the BZO committee.
Second.
All those in favor, say aye. We are adjourned.
All right, thank you, trustee Franzen. Next up will be our Parks and Lakefront Committee, and that is chaired by trustee Russell.
I'll call the order Parks and Lakefront Committee, and trustees Russell, White, and Franzen are present. We have 4 items on here, 2 for motion, 2 strictly for information. So I'll make a motion to approve the March 18th, 2026 Parks and Lakefront meeting minutes as presented. Is there a second?
Second, right?
Any discussion?
I was not in that meeting, so I'll be abstaining.
Okay. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And abstain. 1 abstention. And then, discussion and possible action on Edgewater Park use and policy contract application from the Williams Bay Fire Department for their 60th annual chicken roast, July 16th, 2026 through July 19th, 2026. And I think we have a representative from the fire department here.
Yeah.
Are any questions? The only thing that comes up every time we have this is there's a farmer's market on Friday. You guys have Thursday through Sunday, I believe, for setup, and in the past, you have never interfered with the farmer's market, correct?
Yeah, they use our tent, they use our chairs, and we have no problem with it.
Okay, so we're all good there. I didn't see anything else in the application having effect, so I'll make a motion recommending approval of the Edgewater Park use and policy contract for the Williams Bay Fire Department's 60th annual chicken roast, July 16th, 2026 through July 19th, 2026.
Second, Franzen.
Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
That carries. And then informational, with presentation from the Geneva Lakes Environmental Agency. Holly Baseman is here to talk about wake enhanced sport boating on Geneva Lake and steel piers and the clean boats, clean water, AIS signage issues. Holly, come on up and speak to the issues.
Do you need to state my name and address?
Sure.
Okay, Holly Baseman, address 105 Elkhorn Road, Williams Bay. Okay, so, I'm the executive director for the Geneva Lake Environmental Agency, and I want to preface this whole thing about tonight and bringing these topics to you is that we are bringing them to you as an educational outreach, and that we are making recommendations, not trying to put ordinances in place. So one of the things that we are letting the municipalities know is that the DNR has informed us that either this month or next month, they will be putting Geneva Lake on the impaired waters list for aquatic plants. I'm going to state very carefully that is not saying that the entire lake is impaired. It is saying that we are getting put on the impaired list for aquatic plants. So what we did is we asked the DNR why they feel that is happening, and their 2 top reasons that they are feeling that the lake is being impacted by is both the wake enhanced boating and also pier shading were their top 2 reasons. You probably all have seen all of the news that has been coming out of Madison for months and months about the legislature that they were trying to put into place about wake enhanced sports across the entire state. That got put on standstill until probably next year. Bottom line, across the state, we're seeing lakes make the decision to either ban wake sports altogether on their lakes. They're choosing to say it can't happen less than 700 feet from shore or 200 feet from shore. Every lake is kind of doing their own thing. So the recommendation that GLEA is making, because Geneva Lake is so large, we can definitely support lake enhanced sports. We are just making the recommendation to say that we would like to see it happen 500 feet from shore at a 30-foot depth. Did you get the packet of information about wake? Okay, so on the back of that packet of information, there is a map that was put together by Sewer Pack. It shows in the orange that area that we're speaking of. So there is still plenty of room for folks to do the wake enhanced activities. We're not trying to limit it. We're not trying to restrict it, other than to say, let's just have good manners on the lake and try to protect the lake bed as much as possible. So the only thing that we are asking of Williams Bay is that on that second to last page, there's an example of a sign. And what we would like to do is, if we can get grant funding, we would like to put those signs at launches. Again, it's not that we are creating an ordinance or we're saying that this is absolutely like a rule, but we are just asking people to have respect and potentially do that. We can hence voting at that, 30-foot depth. That is wake. Any questions about wake?
You've been to the other communities now?
Have I been to the, no.
Lynn?
I've been at Walworth, I guess I should say, but yeah, I'm going to the rest of them this week and next.
Walworth is absolutely telling us. So you start small, yeah.
They don't care.
Yeah.
I want to point out, we do have some starter stonework, and the wakeboards create an underwater wave of 20 feet deep. So that could upset some of those plants if they're too close to that, and loosen it up or something like that, right?
Yeah, and I could be here all night if I dove into all the science of it, so I'm just trying to give you the overview. And the other thing I would throw out there is, if we just ask everyone to be at a 30-foot depth, it also leaves a lot of room for kayakers, paddleboarders, fishermen, all to be, in an area where they can do those activities safely.
Do you have a sample of the sign? Because I don't see it on the.
It's in the other attachment.
No, is it?
No, yeah.
No, that's yeah, this is different. That's what I thought, because the other one was something else. Do you mind if we pass this down?
No, and I've got extra copies.
So it's basically, it's the map
It's the map and then
with the
just,
sign.
yeah.
Okay.
Oh, okay, I thought it was this one.
Okay.
So, Holly, in order for this to be effective, all of the communities on the lake have to agree.
we're just, let me just state, I think what we're asking is, we're asking all municipalities to just help us educate folks and say, this is what we'd like to see on the lake.
So in other words, have a sign up, maybe have the launch people, when they see a wake, go launching, to remind them of a safe way to approach it, not a rule, not an ordinance.
Right, not a rule, not an ordinance, just educating people. Let's try to help take care of the lake.
Do you know if the DNR of Madison has thought of requiring wake boat ballast tanks to be emptied and flushed at a launch? Is there any talk of making that a requirement?
There's no talk of making it a requirement, but like I said, every lake across the state is putting things into practice or making their own decisions at this point in time. And I think that's also why we don't want to say, let's just make this a rule, because I think something's going to happen at a state level at some point in time, and it may overturn half of what got decided across the state. So would we love to see that put into place? Yes, but don't know that it's going to happen.
Anybody else have a question?
Just real quick, it's your understanding that the legislature is not going to be looking at this again until after the election?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, at the last minute, they slid in crane hunting into the legislature, so it kind of stalled it all out. Yeah, so we'll see what happens with that.
My only observation is that it's probably a good idea to impose some kind of restrictions, but they need to be imposed. A voluntary suggestion isn't gonna change people's behaviors on Saturday afternoon. But if we're gonna do that on a lake the size of Geneva Lake, it needs to be done by all the municipalities.
Yeah, so that's what we're gonna go speak to all of them and say, help us educate. There's only so much we can do if everybody kind of has the same message. Yeah, is it gonna change behavior? No, but hopefully the word gets out and at least some people will adhere to it. Okay, I'll jump into peers then quickly. Okay, so basically the GLEA board just wants me to share the concern that we have with permanent piers on Geneva Lake. And a lot of that has to do with, again, the DNR saying that if shading is one of the issues that is causing the loss of our aquatic plants on the lake, then why are we not looking more into like good practices as far as piers is concerned? So again, no ordinance, no restriction, but we just wanted to share that we have the question out to the DNR that if piers are an issue, then can our municipalities be choosing to put stronger restrictions on piers as far as choices that are being made? I think our concern with seeing permanent piers go in is obviously that there is no seasonal recovery because there is permanent shading happening of the lake bed then, which of course obviously has an effect on the aquatic plants. So again, no definite recommendation, just putting it out there that our question to the DNR is if they know that this is a problem on the lake, then do we have the potential to make some restrictions?
Because the DNR says that local communities can enact ordinances regarding construction.
So that's what we're trying to ask is what rights do municipalities have? This is all I know at this point in time is we are waiting to hear back from the legal department of the DNR. I know that Fond du Lac has put in their own permitting practice, meaning they aren't going against anything the DNR has made as a rule, but they have added in an extra permitting process if someone wants to put in a permanent pier. So they also have to get a permit from the city, just so they can kind of keep on an eye on how much and what's happening.
Any other questions?
I just want to say, we always think it's our lake, but it's not. The DNR would like to remind you that it's a public lake. And so as far as steel piers, they don't have anything as far as materials are concerned. Right now with the DNR, all of that stuff makes it really difficult to, for improvements to be made.
Yeah, because I don't think any of us want to be out there planting native plants.
Other than the shading, are there other concerns to the lake for these permanent piers? And then Trustee Umans had pictures of permanent piers that had to all be redone. Is there, when that happens, is it more of an issue for the lake than the wooden piers?
Yeah, and again, I could spend all night diving into the science of it, so I'll keep it to a very brief overview. As was referred to before, like the depth of how far they're going in, the disturbance to the sediment. One of the things we know about Geneva Lake is there's a lot of phosphorus in our lake. We know from testing it's not leaving the lake, which means it's going down into the sediment. So anytime we're going deeper into the sediment, we're drawing that up and out and then mixing it into our water. And then I would also say, I have a board member on GLEA who has been involved for a long time, and he comes in and tells me stories about how many drownings there have been on the lake. And I know his biggest concern is to combat the ice moving permanent piers, then the talk starts going to aerators. And if you put aerators on piers, we know what happens from Lake Geneva, dumping a bunch of cars into the lake. But I think the concern is if we put aerators on, then we're creating unsafe ice around those piers.
Yeah. So what she's saying is one way around the steel piers from being destroyed is we put areas around it. Areas definitely have a negative impact on the lake, there's no question about it.
There's no area.
Yeah, they do.
No, no, man.
No.
Oh,
Not
I thought they do, you know.
So again, no recommendation, we're just putting it out there that we're asking the DNR if they have a concern about shading, then what options do we have as municipalities to be combating that effect?
It would be nice if the DNR was clear and consistent in their rules.
Yes. Yes, agreed. Okay, diving into AIS signage quickly. We are continuing to do clean boats, clean waters like we have for many, many years. Again, always if a municipality does their 200 hours, they get the $2,400 check at the end of the season. So we're continuing to do that. Our ask out tonight is we have noticed that some of the launches around the lake, some of the AIS signage is pretty high up and not very visual. And so what we are proposing to do is out of GLEA funding, get some new signage and new sign bases to get them more at eye level, to make them more user friendly for people to read and for the launch attendants to be able to say, do you know, and point to the sign. So, and you should have that in your packet showing the sign base and the signage. So that is the main thing about that. But then we would also add in the reminder that launch folks should be reminding people to clean off boats before they go in and as they come out, not just as they come out. Okay, and then the one last thing was the E. coli. Sorry, I'm trying to be fast. Okay, so then you are all aware and hopefully have this handout of what our E. coli signage has looked like in the past. It is just a lot of words on a colored sign. Walworth County has come out with some new signage that is easier to read. It is English and Spanish, so much more understandable. And what we would like to do is we are offering GLEA that we would replace all the signage to the new, easier to read signage, and also then get an acrylic box that would house all the signage in it. So instead of something having to go and fish it out of a shed somewhere, if they need to change from, let's say, green to yellow, they can slide it out, replace it, and put the green behind it. So it'll be like a sliding system. All signs will be right there together. The only other thing about that is as we put in the new signs, what we would like to recommend for the 2026 season is instead of doing averages at the beaches, that we would put out the highest number that we get from testing. So we test, let's say, 3 or 4 locations at the beach. We have been posting an average. The reason I bring this up is because at Lake Geneva Beach last year, we had an issue at 144 reading. Our average at the beach was 84. There was a 2-year-old that got violently ill from E. coli. So we just feel like even though 144 isn't even a yellow caution sign, we would still just like to be more transparent to the public so that if they do have a small child or an immune compromised family member out there with them, that they know that there could be a pocket of, let's say, 144 floating around. We also said that it would be beneficial if all municipalities would consider, after a very heavy rain like we have been having, that we potentially put up the yellow caution signs for 24 hours. So just trying to be more proactive, a bit more on the safe side, just so that people are aware stuff can be circulated.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
What would you say qualifies a heavy rain? Like, do you have like a certain number?
Yeah, like if we get an inch in 3 hours, that's a heavy rain.
That's all right.
Yeah.
Inch and 3 hours.
Anything else?
Thank you.
Last on the agenda is our boat launch cashless operations status update. This was approved last year. If we exceeded the budget revenue, which we did, sufficient enough to cover the cost. So kiosk 2 handheld credit card units will be going into place hopefully by the end of April. Our boat launches are already in. They went in last week. People are launching boats. In the interim, we will start staffing it on Minimum basis basically is $11 per minute. And the old payment systems will be in place until we get the kiosks in. But once the kiosk is working and the handhelds are working, it will be totally cashless. The only way you can pay cash is to come to the village hall and buy a daily pass or a season pass with cash. Other than that, that is it. Unless anybody has any questions on cash. Make a motion to adjourn.
Second, right?
All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. We are adjourned.
Thank you very much, Trustee Russell. Next up will be our Water and Sewer Committee, and that is chaired by Trustee Umans.
Okay, I call to order the Water and Sewer Committee. Trustees Humans, Russell, and Bartholomew are here. I only have one item on the agenda. Don, are you ready?
Yep.
And that's the village engineer's report.
The report this month has roughly 15 projects on it. I'm only gonna plan to go over 5 because there's the 5 that are moving. The first is on the second page, well 3 pump replacement. The pump installer told me most of the parts are delivered. They're still waiting for a few more, and they're also extremely busy, but they promised to have it installed by the end of April and invoiced in May. Next is Park Place. Jack Pease installed a water main this last 2 weeks. He has one water service connected to it. He still has 2 more to go at the time that he builds the building. And then he needs to redo the pavement on Park Place. The next is the preserve. I got word from their engineer that things are going a little slower than expected. I think they're doing a lot of value engineering to determine what they can actually afford. And the bid package, the public bid package, I don't expect to see for your action until July. The last one, I believe, is Bailey Estates. The contractor for the developer has the utilities installed for phase 6. Phase 7 is currently in permitting, and I believe you'll start that hopefully later this year. That's all I have. If anybody has any questions for me. Nope.
So you skipped the water plant letter from the floodnet.
Yeah, I did because FEMA is on
Right, I just wanted them to know that since you and I talked about this, and so since we don't have any insurance in the water plant, have you given the proper paperwork?
Not yet. I'll give them the paperwork for the actual Lomer application, which should be able to be used by the insurance agent to get insurance.
Right, and we're doing that because even if FEMA goes back to work, there will be a backlog.
Yeah.
And so to speed that up. And then the other thing, Doug, that I think the sanitary sewer replacement.
Oh, yeah, I forgot that one.
If you can just say why you're doing what you're doing.
The plans and specs are ready. If you check everybody else's bid package or their meeting packets in the area for this coming month, you're gonna see that they bid projects and they're about 10% over budget on almost all of them because of the war that's going on. We don't need to start this project until Labor Day because we want the people along the lake to enjoy their summer along the lake. So we don't want to start this until after Labor Day anyway. So I want to postpone this bid, hoping this war will get over in a couple of weeks here. And take bids as soon as we can afterwards.
Right, and then we don't have the construction in the summer months.
Yeah, even if we needed to push this thing off until next spring and do it earlier, I would rather do it that way than pay a premium for the same project.
That sewer pack increased the volume cost, so I'd rather not delay it too much longer.
Okay, yep, welcome it did, yes.
Welcome it, I mean, welcome it. Okay. Any questions for Doug? Well,
I have a comment, it's not necessarily a question. I see in your report a fairly detailed plan for the elementary school development.
Yes.
And I guess it kind of begs the question of process and procedure. The village board knows nothing about this development. we've seen nothing, we've seen no applications, we've seen nothing except what's on social media and obviously in your report. So I find myself anyhow kind of stuck in a quagmire here of unknown proportions, because obviously the village does know something about this development, but we as a board know nothing about the development. So I'm not sure what we ought to be doing about that.
Let's let them take it to the next phase. What they're working to do is get in front of planning commission, at which time the village board will have access to it. Right now, we're just working out the very rough ends of it. It's nothing more than a cartoon right now.
I would just speak that, this is how we do it, staff review happens and before an application hits the plan commission.
Yeah, it's not ready for
Engineers,
planning
administrator.
commission yet.
I know that's how we do it. It's distinctly uncomfortable.
Maybe I should not put it in the engineering report, but I would like to be able to continue to.
I have one question for Doug. Doug, on various days, do you think you and I and Dave could meet one day? Because I'm getting a lot of complaints about stormwater drainage issues in Bailey Estates.
Okay,
I'd
yes,
just like to go over, see what the plan looks like before they get to the end of their project and walk away from it.
okay, gladly. Wayne's gonna be part of that also.
Okay, all right, thank you.
And if I may, so we're kind of talking about the school project. So I've reached out to Jack Peace as well as I believe Dr. White, the school has reached out to him about securing artifacts for the school building. Has he mentioned that with you guys at all?
No.
About making it available? I was curious if you've heard. Okay.
No. He usually responds if I call him. I have not called him on that. I will.
Well, I mean, not necessarily you have to. I was curious if it had came up in the conversation.
Okay, anything else?
Nope.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Doug.
Thanks, Doug.
Okay, I'll make a motion to adjourn. Second, all in favor? So we're.
All right, thank you, trustee Umans. Next up will be the Protective Services Committee, and this is chaired by trustee Block.
I'll call to order the Protective Services Committee meeting. Present are myself, trustee Umans, and trustee Franzen. First item on discussion is discussion and possible action on draft request for proposal, commonly referred to as an RFP for the Village Fire Protection Services. So a little bit of background. A while ago, EMS came to the board, asked for some help. We were able to provide that. We went in some contracts with Village of Fontana, which was able to provide for us paramedic service, working out well. Both Williams Bay and Fontana have been working together well on that. Recently, we've had the fire department come to us, telling us that they can kind of project in the future it's going to get more difficult for them. Some of the reasons are we are a volunteer fire department. It's hard to get volunteers, and there's many reasons for that without going too far into it. And in all fairness, we're all aging. So they came to us and asked us for if there's a way that we could help them. We've had a couple meetings. At the meetings were myself, President Aramillo, Chief Tim from the police department, our administrator, Dave, I'm gonna butcher your last name. Representatives from our fire department were there and our EMS were all there. And we sat down and we had discussions on what we should do. So what we did is we collectively came together and felt it would be a good idea to go out with an RFP and ask a couple of our neighbors, one of them being Fontana, which I see Chief Mantley is here tonight, but he's always here for EMS anyway. And we wanted to go also to town of Delavan because our fire department works along with them also. And we want to present the RFP to those two communities along with Williams Bay Fire Department. Hopefully all of you have copies of the RFP. It's several pages long. I don't want to read through everything. But basically what we're doing is we're going out and asking them, can they provide services and where they have to back up those services and so forth. So what I'd like to do is open it up for any questions that we may have on this, and then we'll go from there. Questions?
No. I read through this, and, as you said, the way it is right now, we cannot continue because of the reason that you just mentioned. And so this is a good start to get information back to us. And we'll have to see all the volunteers here, the volunteers that are here are all very valuable. And we need to see how that all works out and how it plays out, but this is a good start.
I will add real quickly before there's any other question is, we looked at doing this two ways. We looked at doing it, we'll call it in-house, where we disseminate it actually to the departments directly, and we do some in-house versus hiring a company or organization to do it. And we looked at, what's Dave Brettles? PPA. And they couldn't get to it till the fall, was it, or something like that? So if we waited until doing it till the fall, and it's just pushing it out way too far. So that's why we all felt it could be done in-house. So.
And towards that end, George, I think in the scope of services on the services people provide on page 3, under police department, it still references consultant. We need to just fix that.
Can you tell me exactly where that is?
On page 3, item L, police department.
Yeah.
It's expected the consultant will engage,
But we want them to.
but there's no consultant.
Change the
So
word consultant.
how should that be changed? Yeah.
Just, it is expected that the Williams Bay Police Department
Will participate?
will participate.
Just take did you get that?
Yep. All right. Thank you.
Yeah, that's good.
There's a lot of work that went into this, so I want to thank you and everyone who was involved with it to pull it all together and give us a really strong next step. That being said, I just question whether April 24th is an appropriate timeline. It seems quick to put together for a few response.
It is tight, and we had that discussion in the meeting. We know it's tight, and we do know that we may have to push things out. But we want to try to motivate ourselves to try to get it done and get it done completely. But we may need to extend it if potentially in order to get all the information. But it is very tight.
And to that point, George, the last board meeting, we discussed the 5-year financial plan. And if we wanted to do, depending on what the cost estimates come back to be, if we were to try and do a referendum yet this year, we have to submit that by June.
Yes. So that is one of the driving factors also. Trying to think if there's anything else I can add to this for
I
you.
think this is very, very well done.
A lot of it was put together by Dave, honestly, and then we sat in meetings and we tweaked it. We are having meetings right now, we're trying to have them weekly, which we've been doing that because we want to keep the process moving forward. So we don't want it to get lost and then it gets put on the shelf and then nothing gets done. So we are having weekly meetings. We figure we're scheduling them, and if there's nothing to go on, we can always cancel it. But our plan is to continue moving it forwards on Tuesdays. So, any other questions for us? So if not, I would make a motion, recommend to the board that they approve that we send out the request for proposal, commonly known as an RFP, to the 3 entities, being Delavan Township, the Village of Fontana Fire Department, and the Williams Bay Fire Department.
I'll second that motion.
We got a first and a second. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. That goes up to the board. Thank you. Next, we have a new item that's never been in front of us before. And that is, I'm trying to get to the page, that is called, referred to, we're gonna have a discussion and possible action on what's referred to as an above quota liquor license. So liquor license, a Class B liquor license, which probably the simplest way I could put it is a full-blown liquor license. Those are based upon quotas, based upon our population within the village. And every time our village may increase by 500 or more, you can add another liquor license on. We're not piling on liquor license. We are growing, but everybody wants one, but we are limited. All of them right now are out. So the state came up with an idea. It's called the above quota liquor license. And there are certain, what I'm told what that was developed for was like venues where they do like private functions, things like that, where like Yerkes would definitely benefit, and Yerkes did apply for it. What they had to do was they had to submit paperwork to the state, and the state reviews them and checks to see if they meet these certain criteria as far as being I can't remember, do they have to be a nonprofit, Dave? Do you know that offhand? I don't think they had to, but they have to do events and stuff like that. So they submitted everything to the state. The state then comes back and gives them a certification that says they met all the requirements. Then they brought that certification into Tina, who is our clerk. And the reason why it's on the agenda is Yerkes feels they can benefit by it. The issue that becomes, and that's why I think it's important, we don't have anything really established with this right now. But I think it's important that we have a strong discussion and try to move this forwards, because right now, all of our liquor licenses are out. We come up for renewals in June. If for any reason a liquor license is not renewed, which there's a potential for that, if a liquor license is not renewed and that license comes back to the village, we now have a quota license available, which means this above quota liquor license disappears and they cannot get it. So I think it would benefit us if the board, or if you believe, after we have our discussion, that it would be beneficial for them, and you felt the right thing to do would be to grant it to them, and a liquor license came back, a quota license, we would still have that license to issue to another business or whatever. If we don't, then we're gonna lose that. Okay? Everybody kind of following me on that?
Yep.
All right. So what we have to consider is whether we want to entertain this. We have right now no fee attached to it. We can also put stipulations on it and things like that. So I just want to open up that discussion, ask any questions that anybody may have. A couple things that come to my mind as far as if we want to do this would be the fee. Right now, we charge a $600 fee for a quota license. My opinion would be, I think it should be the same. It's a full-blown liquor license is what it is. You could ask for more. I don't know if that would be the right thing to do. There's also, if we wanted to, being a special events in that they may have quite a few people there, we could, if we wanted, we could require security to be hired, things like that. So I want to open up that discussion and see how everyone else feels about this. I know, Rob, you've got an opinion.
Yeah, so I see a real benefit to it, to go forward with this. But then also I've been thinking a lot about liquor licenses. And this was my thinking after the Women's Leadership Center. I think what we don't necessarily do, and maybe we shouldn't, and maybe we should, I think we probably should, if somebody comes in for a B license, a full-blown, as you said, a full-blown license, and we don't have any, we say we don't have any. Do we offer them then, like, the C license is basically a full-blown license without the hard liquor on it? That's a wine and beer, you can get that. Do we offer that? Or, and I don't think we do that necessarily, so.
We do, and we made that recommendation to, the leadership center.
And they rejected it first and then they went for it
I
later?
think they're coming back, I haven't seen anything yet, but I.
We approved that, like.
Oh, yeah, that's right, we did, they did come back, they realized that the full fee was not the right thing. And they would not qualify for, just, you know, they would not qualify for this above limit because, they're not technically open yet, and that's one of the criteria, you have to be open, I think you have to be open for a year, don't quote that on me. There is a time frame that you have to be open and operational, which they're not, so this is like a one-time thing, it's not always out there. So,
So I see a benefit in this, doing it this way.
Susan?
Yeah, no, I was going through all of the requirements for the state to approve them, which they did,
Right.
as a qualifying event venue. And yeah, they did have to be in business, they had to have held at least 5 events with an attendance of at least 50 invited guests and received at least 20,000 in revenue from the last 5 events. They had to be in operation for at least 1 year, and they were not previously a Class B licensed premise. So, yeah, I mean, I think it's a benefit to the village to have this, so that as the opportunity for other licenses that are out there that aren't being used, could potentially be returned to the village under the changed ordinance that we approved earlier this year, or last year. I think that, it makes sense for us to do this.
Yeah.
And to potentially have one in reserve then for any new businesses that come into the village in the event something opens up.
One,
I would agree with you.
yeah. If we have one in reserve, it won't be in reserve long, hopefully.
Probably not.
Yeah. Or a new restaurant in the all empty space that we have.
Any other comments, questions?
George, if I may, my concern, I think to agree with trustee Francis, I think it's a good idea. It'll be good for Yerkes, be good for the village. But my concern is around the word event. I have a huge concern about how many events, how big, how often, how long, what kind of population, and I think, obviously, at least according to the state letter, they would need to apply for a license, and I think we need to know all those things, and probably set some limits around those things, so that we don't have a creeping venue that keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and we wonder where that came from.
And according to Tina, I wish Tina was here tonight, but she's got a big event going on tomorrow. I did have that discussion with her, and we can put restrictions like that in place.
Yeah, the document that Tina sent me said that, if.
Do you have this one, again?
That's the one, yeah.
Yes.
That if approved,
Right.
they are subject to all of the ordinances and
Yeah.
rules that any other Class B would be.
Yeah, all I'm saying is, I think it's a good idea. I think we should put some parameters around it so that we know what we're approving.
So, the renewal, I'm sorry, this is Mr.
Well, you
President.
can go first, I do want to get involved, but.
Please go ahead.
Okay, so this last quarter brought, and I think this coming one, the Protective Services Committee suggested that with a large event like this, an alcohol involved, that private security was provided at the cost of the event thrower.
Right.
In this case, I believe there's some off-duty officers that chief recommended that filled that role. I think that might be something we consider doing if this is gonna be an event, turned to an event venue. And the only thing I just want to add that I feel a little weird about is that, yeah, I looked at the requirements too, and they had to show that in the last 12 months, they had at least 5 events with 50 or more guests, generated 20K in revenue. Part of the reason they were able to do that is they got a conditional use permit from the planning commission and the village board to put up a temporary tent not one that gets taken down and put back up, but one that got to stay for the entire summer season, for the entire year. It's my understanding that that was just for 2025. Trustee Wright, is that right?
I don't know.
Okay,
Sure.
so, and I haven't seen them back here asking for it for 2026. So that's just my only, I just like a little hiccup in that, I don't know. I imagine they would need a, Dave, you know what I'm talking about?
My recollection is that it was for the year.
It was just for last year, so, I mean,
It was to measure the attendance for the welcome center, and eventually it's gonna be built down there.
I think it was a 60-person tent. If I'm remembering right.
So let me ask all of you this. I know this is something that's brand new. I think if it kind of sounds like there's support for it, but I think if we do it, we want to get it right. So do you think it would benefit us to table it and have a meeting very shortly so that we can all get our thoughts together on what our expectations should be as far as, we'll just say, security, fencing, whatever it might be? Because I don't think we're going to get it all out there tonight right now.
Yeah.
And then we will have our next meeting on the 20th. If we decide and we get everything in line, we could approve it then. Then that gives them time to put their application in before that
Yeah,
deadline.
that's the way to go, George.
Does this sound like a plan?
I think that makes sense because this was a one-time offering, so I'd also like to do some research on how other municipalities are handling this, if they had others who were approved by the state.
Okay.
And just see like what restrictions might they put in place or.
Would you like to attend another meeting, Dave?
I want to.
All right, so we'll do that. Maybe I'll talk with Dave afterwards and maybe you can shoot out an email to all of us and figure out what your times are. And I'm fairly flexible right now, so I can kind of work around a bunch of stuff, whatever your schedules are. All right? All right. Moving on, we have,
George.
I'm sorry.
I had an audience question.
Yes, sir.
Walt Chaddick from Yerkes.
Oh.
And I'm here, so if you'd like to ask me any questions, I would love to answer them.
Did I miss anything?
I had so many notes for you, and you covered like 95% of them.
That's pretty
So
good.
that made me feel really good. You were very astute about explaining that. This all came about as of January 1st with Act 73 that the Wisconsin legislature passed, deeming that all institutions that had alcohol at events had to get a liquor license. And so then they backtracked it a little to say that people like Yerkes or Horticultural Hall in Lake Geneva or the Riviera in Lake Geneva, who had demonstrated a successful run of private events with no issues and had hired licensed caterers and complied with the law, that was unfair to them. So they created this subset of this law called the qualifying event venue, which you read about. And so the deadline was a month ago. I think we're probably the only one that applied for it in Williams Bay. And so this is a one-time thing, as y'all mentioned. Just to speak to President Jaramillo's comment about the events tent, we didn't have any of those private events in that tent. So all of our weddings, which we did, I think 5 last year, were in tents that they rented themselves, the clients, or we had them inside the observatory. And then we had family reunions, we had corporate events that rented their own tents. And the village approved that several years ago, that we could have events in tents. And we did have questions last year about our programs tent that's up June through September, about whether we could have these events there. So going forward, I would like to discuss the possibility of that, because the former, what was her name before, Tina? Yeah, she wasn't sure if y'all passing the fact that we could have events in tents in the first place didn't let us do it in our own temporary tent. So I would like to keep that in conversation too. I would say it's just such a great revenue generator for us. We probably
generated about $75,000 in revenue as a not-for-profit, it's a startup company. That was a really successful program. And the thing we're worried about the most is that we have weddings on the books. Now, we have family reunions and we have corporate events on the books that we booked before this law went into effect. But the weddings would be very difficult for us to say to them, you cannot have your wedding here now. That would be heartbreaking. Especially we're so close to the summer wedding season and these people have worked on their weddings for a year and a half. And I think that's why this qualifying event venue subset of this law was created. So event venues, now this is not local, this is across the state. This is from Asheville to Kenosha to Door County to the Driftless. The event world, or think about museums who do 5 events a year, an art museum, they're having to scramble and figure this out in this very quick time period for these pre-booked events. So the intention of it was to go after wedding barns who had become a little reckless and were allowing bring your own alcohol, or they were just serving the liquor themselves. And these upstanding institutions, and I certainly consider Yerke as one, always had responsible serve certified licensed caterers like Pier 290 and Lake Life Catering here in the Bay, like Celebration on the Wells in Lake Geneva, or the Abbey served at our events. And so that's why we were in compliance, and we would continue to do that. Like in the immediate future, we're not selling liquor or serving our own liquor. That would be all done through licensed servers still.
Yeah, you would still have to follow all the laws that are in place coming under the quota license.
Yes.
Which has to do with licensed servers and all that stuff.
And that would be new to us, and we would have to learn all of that and be in
We can help
compliance
you
with that.
with all that stuff. It's
Yeah.
not that hard, to be honest with you.
Okay.
So we take it up, hopefully next week, that maybe we can get this moving forward fairly quickly for you.
We've completely finished the second half of the application process and are just waiting on y'all's opinion, plus that fee structure that you would employ. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Paul.
All right. Dave will get a hold of us and we'll get something going. All right. Next, we have the Fontana Emergency Medical monthly numbers. We have Chief Mantley here. It's all yours, Chief.
All right, so the good news is our request for service for EMS was down in January and February, so a few less calls in January and February. However, we are making up for it in March and April. March we are above, and April is already looking to be a pretty busy month for us. So the call, all the call information has been presented. Any questions on the calls before I go into some more of the details on the report? So other updates with the department, we did increase our staffing to 5 people for 24 hours per day last month. So before we were staffing 4 24 hours a day, and then an additional 1 to 2 during the daytime hours during our busier time. So we did implement that 5th position, which is filled with a part-time position. Much more financially beneficial to fill with part-time personnel. We've been very successful in filling that with our part-time personnel. So we're now staffing 5 people for 24 hours and an additional 1 to 2 people during daytime hours. So 6 to 7 during the day, and then 5 at night for the staffing. We just finished a hiring process. We had 14 applicants that applied for the different positions. Our Police and Fire Commission met on Friday. They approved 1 full-time employee, 2 part-time employees, and then 2 paid-on-call personnel, with a 3rd being offered a position next week. We also have a eligibility list for part-time personnel, so that'll go for a year. So we have another 8 people that have that went through the background process. So we have another 8 people on the hiring list for part-time personnel for the future. The remainder of the report is in there. The other thing just to note that both Fontana and Walworth Township did unanimously approve to continue the automatic aid for fire service through the end of 2026. So both boards did approve that action as well.
Thank you, Chief. That's a big help for us.
Thank you, we appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
Any questions? If not, Chief Tim.
All right, I'll pass these out. Here.
Thank you.
Yep. 14 applicants. That's pretty good. I'm pretty jealous.
This interview committee.
These are the monthly numbers. The pie chart that I usually hand out wasn't coming through in our software, so I wasn't able to get that printed out, but this gives you a general idea of where we're at. For the monthly numbers, you also see our parking enforcement is about 163 total. And I know the question got brought up at the Streets and Highways Committee meeting. There's 133 of those 163 were specific to North Walworth Avenue parking enforcement. Doesn't mean all our citations, just means that we're doing enforcement there. So every time an officer is going down there and checking for parking, they are logging it as a separate check so that we can monitor how often we are down there to ensure that our officers are, getting in that area as much as possible.
Chief, what action do they take when they're down there? They see a truck double parked.
Yep. There's multiple different options. Sometimes it's a verbal warning. Most recently, they've gone to citations for double parking. The 2-hour parking enforcement is a little bit more difficult to enforce on the other side of Geneva Street. But there's some citations issued for that as well. I had those numbers. I think there were 17 total parking citations. That might be on a different form, but there were roughly 17, I know, in 2025, the last part of 2025, that were issued. So it was verbal counseling at the beginning of the year, and then as it continued to grow, there's also been, if somebody's parked in front of a driveway, they're getting citations for those as well. Good. Any questions on the monthly numbers?
Okay, tell us what you do on fraud.
On which one?
Fraud. It says 4 of them.
Oh, fraud.
Yeah.
So that could be anywhere from, most recently, there was a senior citizen who was,
On the internet or something?
yep, so it was a fraud on the internet, so they were taking their social security number or credit card and those fraud accounts, and then what we do is we try to figure out who's facilitating that. A lot of times it's very difficult. We've done educational pieces at the library to help mitigate that, but these are continuing to grow.
But you do try to assist with this?
We try as hard as we can, and yeah, yep.
Okay, because I get emails and correspondence saying that is on the rise.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it's continuing to grow, and like I said, last year, I think we held two educational with the library, and then we also met with the Civic League, and that was a big part of our presentation as well.
Okay.
Any other questions on that? Monthly reports? Just to follow up to Trustee Emmons with your point on the overtime from last month. So there's a couple different things that feed into that. We increased our training last month because we were preparing for this month and the future months. So Officer Shirota, she attended CIT training, which is crisis intervention training, mental health training, as well as instructor development training as well. So she's an instructor now, and then she's going to find her niche into where she can instruct. Where this helps us in the future is then when she becomes an instructor, we don't have to outsource or we don't have to send somebody to that. It's all in-house at that point, which is hopefully saving us money on that end, but also it's building the trust within the department. Officer Carlson just finished phase 2 of the academy as of last week. she's doing very well. We're getting updates, as well as Lieutenant 1 visitor, during emergency vehicle operations. So we're very happy about that. She's doing well. This month is a trying month for the police department. I know I mentioned a little bit to Trustee Black, but we are 4 officers down at this point right now. We have 1 officer on paternity leave, 1 on light duty / maternity leave, 1 in the academy, and 1 through field training. How we are mitigating our overtime costs is Lieutenant Hammett and myself are both pulling day shifts, shifts. I'm pulling day shifts and he's on the night shifts. Yeah, that I pulled rank on that one.
Some privilege.
Yeah. So, but we are trying to mitigate overtime costs as much as possible. We are utilizing part-time when it's available. So you will see more of that. That will change come the summer months, and Officer Skirt is off of field training. Officer Carlson's back, so we'll see it come up again.
Yeah, good to know. Thank you.
Yep. So also follow up on some conversations that we've had just to bring this up. Trustee Black, myself, and Administrator Ledspike and I have had conversations about parking enforcement and how we're going to increase and try to get more enforcement down there. The idea of a community service officer was brought up, so we have started those preliminary conversations, and I'm sure those will continue. They are very, very new, so I don't have much more than I'm collecting information from Lake Geneva, Montana, to hopefully get some more information for follow-up meetings on that. Any questions? Okay.
Is Trustee Wright part of those conversations with the community service officer?
At this point, they were so preliminary that we didn't. I don't even have cost analysis breakdown. Yeah.
I'll recommend.
I did another committee meeting.
Yeah.
No, it is obviously a cost issue.
Yeah, and a personnel. So you're absolutely right. We absolutely will bring into those.
We're gonna have, I've asked Dave and Justin, we're gonna have some meetings on that and try to pull some numbers together and job descriptions and things like that, and how they can be utilized, not only with the police department, but also with code enforcement and stuff. So we're trying to get stuff together for the board.
Any other questions, comments, concerns?
Can we talk about the cars now?
Sure. Maybe be ready for that one.
Ready for that one?
Yeah. So the police vehicle conversation. So everything that you're going to see in this presentation is also in your packet. It only goes up to the page 9. The rest of that wasn't converting into a conversation or into a PowerPoint that well. Last committee meeting, you got my very alphabet soup thoughts that I just kind of brought to you. So hopefully this will be more organized, a little bit more background for you. Sorry, it's very difficult to read. There's a lot of information on there. This is the background of what we currently have. We have a total of 4 vehicles that are in the fleet. So they are all strictly Tahoes. We have a 2020 Tahoe, 2 2023 Tahoes, and a 2025 Tahoe. The reason we have 2 2023 Tahoes was because of the issues that we were having during COVID. Ordering vehicles was extremely difficult, and it was tough to get them. So we had to jump on them when we could, and we actually kept our 2016 Ford Explorer probably longer than what we would have liked to. You'll see the Squad 294. For whatever reason, that squad does seem to have the most issues. Coolant leaks. We've been through 2 batteries already. new water pump, which is part of the coolant leak, but there's also a reservoir leak, as well as new tires onto that vehicle. 2023, our newest Tahoe, it's too new to really have too many issues. We've had its first oil change at the beginning of the year. 292, which is our 2023 Tahoe. 2 new sets of tires, multiple oil changes, which is maintenance. New brakes already, which is was surprising. There's also some squeaking sounds that are coming from the belt area. Could be a water pump issue, could be something wrong with the belt. It will be taken to CUNIS to get that figured out. And then our SRO slash training vehicle, that's the vehicle that our SRO takes to school during the school year, and then during the summer or weekends. If there's a training that's in session, an officer will take that vehicle to wherever that training is. Multiple battery replacements, tire replacements, coolant leaks, brakes, water pump issues, wheel bearings, ball joints, rear axle seals, pinion seals, over $15,000 so far total in the vehicle. We understand that maintenance, there is a cost of doing business. There's a maintenance cost, but we have seen a steady decline in the longevity of the vehicles. The reason we went to the Chevrolet was, one, there was a more area, so for more of our gear. As I'm sure everybody's aware, the backs of the vehicles are packed full of things between medical supplies, cold water rescue suits, other police supplies that we need, so we needed a larger area. But unfortunately, right now, we're trying to balance that with being good stewards of the taxpayers' money. So we're in this conundrum at this point. Now, we've noticed these issues. We've taken note of them for quite some time. And what we've done, we've monitored the idle times on the vehicles, the mileage, the maintenance is all documented. And we've also, we've switched up when we basically scheduled each of the officers is assigned a vehicle. And the reason for that is because then we can hopefully rest a vehicle for one of the shifts, and they aren't running the brand new vehicle every single shift. We're trying to get that to be spaced out, but it doesn't seem to be making that much of an impact on it. So what I did, started last year, was I started dissecting, talking with different police chiefs in the area, as well as the entire state. Finding out what vehicle there's running, if there's one that we absolutely have to go to, and it seems like every vehicle has their issues. Next, you'll see the vehicles that we've looked at, and some of the pros and cons.
So, Chief, before you go on to some of the other vehicles, do you know with those Tahoes, seems like you've got some battery issues. Are they standard alternators in there, or are they heavy-duty alternators?
They're heavy-duty alternators.
They still have the problems.
Yep.
Are they the 6.2 liter engines?
Mm-hmm.
That's bad engines.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
And there's also, and one thing that's not in here that's common in every single one of these Tahoes is what's called an oil consumption issue. So we will get a light that says low oil level. In between the oil changes, we have to fill probably 1 to 2 quarts between every oil change. And every time we've taken it in for service, they've said, well, it's within normal operation. So they can't do anything. And when this first was initially noticed, what Chevy did to fix the problem was put a larger oil pan in. So now it just burns more oil. So we don't have a solution. Now we're buying oil on top of, in between all of our oil changes, which is done every 5,000 miles.
Chief, can I ask an umbrella question? How many vehicles do we need? We have 4 right now.
Yep.
How many do we need?
4, if not 5.
How many officers are on duty and need a car at any point in time?
1 to 2.
And why do we need 5 vehicles?
When one goes down, we're running a vehicle for 16 hours, potentially. 2 go down. We've had a couple in car accidents where we don't have an extra vehicle, and now we're running them for 16 hours at a time and hope that we don't have any issues mechanically with the vehicle.
Chief, do you ever have 2 on the road and then 1 up at the school?
Yep.
So there's 3 right there.
There's one at the school.
Yeah.
So 4.
And then you'd be locked in your office if you ever had to go out, if you didn't have that 4th one.
I'd run.
A little bit.
Not that far, but
The chief has another vehicle, it's not listed here.
Correct.
Oh, it's not on there?
Right. Yep.
I just note that they're $100,000 investments.
Absolutely.
We
And
have an option for that, a little less expensive.
And
$90,000 investment.
yeah. To that point, you're absolutely correct. They are, and that's why we're having this conversation, is because we do want to find. I'd love to have the magic solution. If I did, we probably wouldn't be standing here. But I agree. They are very large investments.
Okay.
So current Chevrolet Tahoe, the Pros, that's our current vehicle. We have enough room for all of our equipment. It's a known quantity. We know what we have. When we get into that vehicle, it's set up the exact same as every single other vehicle that we have, until they change the shifter or something, which has happened twice now that we can't seem to. Now they have this, it almost looks like a Tesla shifter. It's weird. But it's a very well-known quantity. When we get into each vehicle, if I have to jump into a different vehicle, it's all set up the same. Upfitting for the vehicles are plentiful. The resale value is higher on the Chevrolet Tahoes than they are on the Ford Explorers. For whatever reason, they're more sought after for the police pursuit vehicles when they go into an auction. The cons, we've talked about it, not as fuel efficient. Maintenance costs are continually increasing, and the initial cost has also increased. On page 9 of the packet, the Ewald cost comparisons. When we first moved to Chevrolet Tahoes and when we had the discussion in 2019, they were $4,000 difference from the Ford Explorers. They were about $4,000 more than a Ford Explorer, but the resale value was higher. We felt at that time it was the appropriate move. Now it's about a $10,000 difference between a Ford Explorer and a Chevrolet Tahoe. So it continues.
Price?
I'm sorry?
In purchase price?
In purchase price, yep. So we're seeing that increase, which we're not thrilled about. Another option, the Ford Explorer. Again, we've had Ford Explorers in the past. Multiple agencies use them. Again, upfitting. There's plentiful in upfitting. And what I mean by upfitting is there's companies that will put in the cages and the prisoner transport areas, the lights, the light bars, the upfitting of all that. There are known electrical issues that we've gotten reports from, county specifically, as well as some of our neighboring jurisdictions. Resale or trade-in value is not as high as the Tahoes, and space is limited for gear, which we're able to work around. Toyota 4Runner, this was brought up, Trustee Humans brought this up. I didn't even know police vehicles or Toyota 4Runners were made with the police package, but they are. One department in Wisconsin runs them had one, I should say, Plover, Wisconsin. They weren't thrilled about it when I talked to them, but they actually got rid of it. But they've changed a lot since that version. That was, I think, 3 years ago. Again, there's enough space for the gear. It is a higher resale value. Maintenance cost for civilian use is low. It's hard to compare with how a police vehicle is ran compared to a civilian use. And then the longevity of the vehicle is high. But again, that's civilian use. We're not talking about police use. Hawaii does run them. Auburn, and then some police departments in Utah also run them. The cons, right now, there are not many options for upfitting. I've talked to a couple of our different upfitters. They just don't have the companies aren't making prisoner transports, and the lighting packages. I took this stock photo offline, but there's just not as many options. Not much for feedback from departments who have them. Again, I had one police department in Wisconsin that I was able to get a hold of. Honolulu, Hawaii did not return my phone call, so I'll wait for that call. Dodge Durango, another police vehicle that we see. The county runs them. East Troy runs them as well. They are pursuit rated. They do have enough room for the gear, and they are large in stock. They are plentiful. The cons currently, the radiator hose issues. They're having radiator hose issues. East Troy had a solution for that. They had to get it went to a dealer, and they were able to get a different part for it. And then the continuity of services is undetermined. So every year it feels like we talk to Dodge, and they're saying, well, this could be the last year for our police packages, which is concerning. And then also we have mixed reviews. So a couple different departments, like I said, East Troy runs them, very happy with them. Another department in Western Wisconsin does not like them at all. So there's issues there. The Tesla Model Y, we do see quite, we're seeing these increase in police vehicles. Pros, reduction in carbon footprint, low maintenance costs, longevity of vehicle. There's a 120,000 mile warranty on the vehicle, which currently we are selling our vehicles or auctioning our vehicles right around 80 to 100,000 miles. And they also have a payment plan option, which is over the course of 5 years. They stretch the cost of the vehicle. The cons, the upfitting is high, the costs are higher. Installation of charging stations. Can't run a full fleet of Teslas. We would just probably have to increase how many vehicles we have. And then any large maintenance would need to be done in Madison. I've talked to a couple different departments in Wisconsin who have them. They really enjoy their vehicles.
On the counts, we talked about the tires.
Yep.
The tires at best last 20,000 miles on electric cars like that.
Mm-hmm.
And we talked about the body that is clamped on the skateboard frame. Any accident that you have will probably total it, and that is not listed on your negatives.
Right. Yeah. Good point. So tires are increased, and then also the way the body is, any damage would potentially total the vehicle. Other EVs and hybrids, what we were looking at. These are from any conversations that I've had with chiefs and what different solutions they're having for their fleet. There's a Chevrolet Blazer, which is a EV as well. The feedback that I had is there's no ability to adequately have a prisoner transport. Ford Lightning, it's no longer supported by Ford. The Ford Mustang Mach-E, there was a not great feedback. We'll leave it there. The Ford Explorer Hybrid is continually having electronic issues while it's on duty. So again, I want to stay away from that. And that's so. What you guys have in your packet has from page 9 is Ewald, which I referenced earlier. Then I also have the breakdown of what the Toyota would be, pages 9 to 11. And then 12 through 21 is the Tesla information. I'm not leaning heavily one way or another. I just wanted to provide you the information that I had, and that was what I got. So that was, excuse me, I know that was a long dissertation on where we are, but this is the reality of some problems we're seeing and some solutions we're trying to come up with.
Chief, when you say we auction off our used vehicles, who buys those?
Civilians.
Okay.
It could be civilians, it could be somebody who's, maybe another police department. They have to go through Wisconsin surplus, well, it doesn't have to be Wisconsin surplus, but it needs to be an auction site that we've worked with.
Is part of our fleet being used vehicles an option?
It could be.
Okay, so back to the Toyota one.
Mm-hmm.
So because that one is not ideal for pursuit.
Correct.
But if the SRO, that is sitting at the school all day long, there's no pursuit out there.
Correct.
So we could have one that maybe doesn't meet all the demands, but definitely would be less expensive.
Is it less expensive?
Oh, yeah, it's $55,000 for the, and then the add-on.
There's, that's an option.
I'm just,
That is an
trying
option.
to help you out.
No, yeah.
Stein asked a question. Do they make a Blazer with a 5.3 that's fast enough for pursuit?
The Blazer that they have is the EV Blazer. That's what they're
Well,
pushing
not the
right
Blazer, I
now.
meant the bigger one, the one you got now.
The Tahoe,
Yeah, they make that with a 5.3 that's fast enough?
not the Pursuit, the police Pursuit.
Chief, who else uses Tahoes?
The county, Walworth has one.
So the county has a couple different types?
The county has a Ford, they have Fords, Tahoes, and Durangos.
And then my other question is, do you know what the Wisconsin Highway uses?
They use Dodge Durangos,
Durangos?
and then, I'm sure they have other ones as well, but I know Durangos and Chargers.
This was just informational, right? Or just-
Yep, yeah, this is just informational. I know it's been a long night.
Can I ask, for what is the timeline? I mean, are you good for another year?
Yep.
2, 3?
Yeah, we're still good for a year, but this is where I am at this point. And we'll continue to have conversations, and any input from anybody on the board is welcome.
Okay, any other questions for the chief?
Just a question on, do we need SUVs? Do we use sedans?
We could. I don't know who's running a sedan anymore except for the Dodge Charger. Because they don't make the Impalas anymore. They don't make the Crown Vics anymore, which they did.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Is there any kind of leasing service instead of a purchasing?
The closest that we've come to is the Tesla with that payment option. It's not really even a lease, it's just you have options. All right, thank you so much.
Thanks, Chief.
All right, look for a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. We're adjourned.
All right. Thank you, trustee Block. And next we'll have the Finance and Personnel Committee.
I know why, I understand why Royce laughed. We got several things on the agenda. Lumens and Bartholomew are present, so we have a full committee. On our agenda is to consider the minutes from our meeting on March 13th.
I'll make a motion to approve the March 13th.
Any discussion, corrections? All those in favor of approving the minutes of March 13th, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, no. Minutes are approved. As everybody bails out of the room. Thank you, folks. We have such exciting things to talk about. First item on our agenda comes to us from Highway Committee. It is the next step in the agreements with the state regarding the redo of West Geneva Street. Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry, back up. Thank you, Rod. I skipped an item on the agenda. First item comes to us from the Protective Services Committee regarding an RFP for Fire Services. I would entertain a motion to recommend board approval of that.
Yeah, we'll move it to the board, yes.
Yes,
I'll
we need to
make
move it
that
to the board.
motion. Okay.
I move that we recommend board approval of the draft approval of and distribution of the draft RFP.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Pass that on to the board for consideration. Then we get to the item I started on it comes to us from Streets and Highway Committee regarding the redo of Highway 67 or West Geneva Street from downtown Williams Bay to Theater Road. The state has proposed an agreement to us for just over a variety of things. The most important part for us, I guess, is a $6,046,000 price tag for village responsibility. At least from our discussion in Streets and Highway Committee, there's not a lot of discussion about this. This is what it's expected to cost. And if we want this project done, we have to sign up for $6 million and that will be payable sometime in the future. So I would entertain a motion to recommend board approval of
I'll make the motion.
Thank you.
I'll second.
All those in favor of recommending board approval of the State of Wisconsin Municipal Financial Agreement regarding State Highway 67 improvements, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, no. Recommend that to the board for consideration. Then we get to the item that Kevin's been so diligent, so patiently waiting for.
I'm with you.
But anyhow, the Finance Committee has been working on and considering our next borrowing, which is estimated to be about a sum of $2.4 million. And the Barrett staff at Barrett has been working at putting together the documents to do that, and we have two of them in front of us tonight. The first one is the parameters resolution, which essentially sets the parameters for the borrowing that Barrett will take to market and arrange for us. But come back for approval. We're trying to expedite the process somewhat by our 3026 establishing parameters and negotiation of that borrowing. And then the second part of that will be council services that go with that. So Kevin, do you want to
Sure.
walk us through that?
Take the podium. Thank you, and I appreciate you allowing me to present this evening. So the parameters resolution, and just a correction or a clarification, I should say. The parameters resolution really is the board's approval of the borrowing. Wright had mentioned that resolution parameters that says, if the borrowing is sold within these parameters, and I'll talk about those in a minute. There are committee members, the chair of, board president and village administrator have the authority to sign off on the details of the bond sale if they meet those parameters. So the parameters resolution describes not to exceed amounts for the borrowing. So under section 1, the costs of the borrowing are not to exceed underwriting cost of 1.25% of the borrowing amount, and the fixed costs of the borrowing are not to exceed 2.5% of the borrowing amount. It also sets forth the maximum par value as being $2.4 million. And then in section 2, it establishes the maximum interest rate of not to exceed 4.5%. I would say the costs and the interest rate are meant to be moderately conservative, so that we can have a semblance that we can move forward and meet those parameters. If we're exceeding those parameters, the resolution would have to come back to the board for formal approval. It also describes the annual principal amounts, but there is flexibility in how those principal amounts can be repaid slightly. So generally, it has to look and smell like it's described in the parameters resolution. The purpose of the parameters resolution is to provide flexibility, both in terms of timing, so we can continue to get the bond structure and rating put in place. As soon as it's available, we have the authority then to go into the market when it's appropriate. But it also gives us flexibility to delay the pricing if in fact there's volatility in the market and we would like to hold off for a day, a week, whatever the case may be, which in the current economic milieu, it's important to have that flexibility. But I will say this is the common process that you've used for your bond resolutions, for sure the last 2 times that you've gone to market, probably even more than that.
So tonight, the committee is going to be discussing it, and I believe it's also on our
So,
agenda to go into
that's correct.
so then here it says that on the 20th will be going to the board, but it's all going to happen tonight on the 6th, I believe.
I believe so.
Yes, I
Okay,
believe
so I
so.
just wanted to clarify that, okay. Thank you.
Kevin, can you just say a couple, just quickly, that the 2.4 million for people that are online on Zoom, and so they understand in the audience, that we have a long-term debt reduction and now this, so actually the taxes will not necessarily go up. Can you please address that real quick?
Sure. So yeah, the way that your net debt service is structured for tax levy supported purposes, this $2.4 million is, structured to take advantage of your debt service decreasing in the next 2 years, and is feathered in around that. And I don't have the debt service in front of me, but I do believe there's a modest increase in the debt service levy, but it is happening at a time when debt service is declining. And it's intentional that you're moving forward, at least with this section of your capital improvement plan, because it was planned to fit into this timing around how your existing debt service is.
And to add to Kevin's comment, the $2.4 million does reflect the items in the capital improvement plan for 26, 27, 28.
Correct.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Kevin? No. I would entertain a motion to recommend board approval of resolution R 3026.
I'll make that motion.
Any further discussion or questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. And we'll carry that forward to the board for consideration. The second part of this discussion is a proposal that we have from Corals to act as bond and disclosure counsel. Kevin, you want to add?
Sure. So we're not Corals, but I will describe, the 2 services that they're providing.
Why they're valuable.
Yeah. So Corals and Brady traditionally, and for your borrowing, would need to provide an opinion that the bonds, when they're issued, satisfy both the state and local laws necessary to authorize the borrowing, but also because it's a tax exempt borrowing, they attach their opinion that the interest that is paid on the bond issue can be received by investors and be considered tax exempt. So their federal tax opinion is very important for this borrowing. So the first portion of that is for their bond opinion. So that opinion would be attached to the bonds when it's sold. The second opinion that they would provide through Disclosure Counsel, when you sell the bonds, you issue a disclosure document that describes the financial, economic, and demographic situation of the village. That has to, present facts in a material way that the market can rely on. And you write an opinion, you opine that those facts are correct when you sell the bonds. They also will review your disclosure independent of what you provided, and we're helping you provide that disclosure. But they will actually write an opinion that says it was, in fact, that you're covered in terms of your financial and other disclosures that are necessary for the market to accept those bonds. And so, it's an opinion that you can rely on for the life of the borrowing. If an investor in the future or a regulatory body would come in and say, prove to us that that you didn't omit any material fact that needed to be there, it's, an assurance that you have. They would take the responsibility for representing you in that situation.
And the cost for their services is included in the 3.75% of
That is correct.
fees. Any questions, discussion? I'd entertain a motion to recommend board approval of the Corals proposal.
I'll make that motion.
Any further discussion or questions? All those in favor of recommending board approval of the Corals proposal, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, no. Motion carries. We'll forward that on to the board for consideration.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. On my agenda again. I think it's time to adjourn.
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye. We're adjourned. President Herring, back to you.
All right, thank you,
Thank you,
trustee
Kevin.
Wright. So now the final part is the village board committee of the whole will now take actions on matters discussed in committee. I'm sorry, I'm looking at it. Is there not an A, or my A might be cut off? Does it jump right to B on the agenda?
There's no way.
Okay.
Possible action.
So discussion, possible action on a draft request for proposal, RFP for village fire protective services. We had a recommendation for protective services. A motion out of committee for recommendation for the finance and personnel committee. As this is from committee, I don't think it requires a second. So we just move right through. So any discussion on a motion to approve the RFP?
There was some discussion when the committee was considering this about timelines. Do we want to give the administrator some discretion to adjust the timelines, or please, Dave?
So I have a draft email ready to go to the different departments. And I'll be asking each department to review and let us know if the timeline is too aggressive. And then we can adjust it according to what their responses are.
Okay.
Because right now, the way it's laid out, it's, as you pointed out, it's purposely tight in order to be able to get a decision before the board before the end of May.
I think that's a yes, we do want some discretion.
Well, I think, yeah, we want somehow to allow some discretion.
The RFP actually said in it that those dates can change. Right below the dates.
Right, and then what I was looking for, I guess, Steve, was some decision or discretion by the board granted to the administrator to adjust those dates.
All right, so without objection, we'll give the village administrator discretion over that deadline.
Yes.
We can make a motion. You want to make that motion?
I'll make a motion to give the administrator discretion to extend dates based on responses for the departments and contacts.
Second, Brendan.
All right, any discussion on the motion to amend the agreement to allow the discretion of the dates of the deadline? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. All right, and then we're back to the original vote of the approval of the RFP now amended. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. Motion carries. The next item is resolution R2926, authorizing the state of Wisconsin municipal finance agreement regarding the state highway 67 improvements, the first revision. I believe this first came out of Streets and Highways and then was recommended for approval by the Finance and Personnel Committee. Is there any discussion on the motion to approve this? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. That motion carries. Next up, we have resolution R3026. We have a motion to approve resolution R3026, authorizing the issuance and establishing parameters for sale of not to exceed $2.4 million in general obligation promissory notes. And this came out of Finance and Personnel Committee. It recommended to approve. Any questions or discussions on the motion to approve resolution R3026? All in favor of the motion, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say no. That motion carries. And next we have a motion to authorize Quarles and Brady LLP Disclosure Council Services, a scope of engagement letter for Village of Williams Bay 2026 General Obligation Promissory Notes. This is recommended for approval by the authorizing by the Finance and Personnel Committee. Any questions or comments on the motion to authorize? All right. All in favor of the motion, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say no. And that motion carries. Final item on the agenda tonight is a discussion and possible action on the draft development agreement with Yerkes Yerkes Future Foundation, limiting future vehicular access. I guess just for the people at home, before we're going to be looking to go into closed sessions to discuss this, but the village board did authorize our attorney to draft a development agreement with the Yerkes Future Foundation regarding vehicular access to their property. and we will be discussing a counter offer from Yerkes this evening. We will be voting to go into closed session. I just want to assure everyone the live feed will end. When we do come to open session, we will not be taking any action. The earliest, the next vote on anything discussed in closed session will take place will be at the next Monday meeting of April 20th, the next regular village board meeting. So with that, Chair will look for a motion to go into closed session.
So I'll make that motion.
We have a first, is there a second?
Second.
Second. All right, any discussion? We do need a roll call vote for this.
Trustee Paramino,
Aye.
trustee Bartholomew,
Yes.
trustee Ullman,
Aye.
trustee Wright,
Aye.
trustee Black,
Aye.
trustee Russell,
Aye.
and trustee Franklin.
All right, that motion carries. We will now be going to closed sessions. As I said, you're welcome to stay in the hallway and wait for us to come back out, but you really aren't going to be missing anything as we will be immediately adjourned. Yeah, you'll get to see the adjournment vote. And I'll thank everyone that's watching at home or in the future. You will have to miss the adjournment vote. We're going to end the transmission very soon. He's coming, he's about to press the button. All right, thank you, Chief.
Thank you.